Oh man, I'm tired today. I gotta tell you. I was thinking this morning, I was like, I got the podcast because I've been sleeping in just a little bit more than I normally do. Mm-hmm. Now I'm working evenings, and I'm not an evening guy. I haven't been an evening guy in over a decade.
So now you get home late and you get up early. It's perfect combination.
I do still get up
never
early.
sleep.
Because I refuse to become the night man. You know what I mean? Like, I don't.
Says the
He's
guy.
more of a day man.
The guy
I
who's
really
fully
am
blacked
more-
out.
Yeah,
is
exactly.
not the
more
night
of a
man.
day
Not the night
man. Master of friendship, as it were.
Champion of the sun.
Yeah, I refuse
Well, what about paying the
to
troll
become
toll?
the
Yeah,
night
there's
man.
something in there.
I was really hoping you would catch the reference.
Oh, don't
yes.
worry.
But I don't want to be the night man, you know?
I'm
I don't,
holding
They
back
got-
from breaking into song right now.
They got renewed for 4 more seasons, hey?
They
No,
did,
they
but like,
didn't.
it's got to stop soon.
Oh, no. So that was the running joke, is that this show was written as a 36-season story arc.
No, the best to me is still the night man for sure.
Oh, yeah.
The night man, the day man, the whole thing. But like the night man to me, I identify with as when I was younger and I would stay up and I would eat chips and watch movies and you know jerk off and play video games. That's the night man.
Generally an unproductive, unhealthy,
Night
like
man is a
indulgence.
seductive, unproductive problem, right? Like you have to stay away from the night man.
Nightman is just vices.
And I have like my coworker,
sense.
my coworker and I talk about it in that way too. Where it's like you were the night man again, weren't you, Vince? Like, because he'll come in and he'll look like an unmade bed, and he'll be like brushing sleep out of his eyes and looking generally miserable. And I'm like, you were up all night again, weren't you?
I'm going to use this term now.
Yeah, there is like a beautiful, like, kind of Jordan Peterson-esque, like, change your life from the night man to the day man.
Yeah, it really is.
Kind of thing that
The
could
day
be
man
done.
gets shit done, pays the bills, probably has a wife.
So
you know,
when
never
you said,
late.
When you said you had a plan to start the podcast, was it actually
this?
It's Always Sunny?
Yeah, this was actually the plan.
That's
the plan
incredible.
Was, the plan was,
I'm
oh
100%
man,
on
I'm
board.
turning into the night man. I don't want to be this guy.
So when you're doing nights, you're there till when?
I'm only there until 8 or 9. But at the same time, you get home and you haven't eaten, so you have to eat. You have
Yeah.
to shower after you work. And by the time you get done all of that shit, you
It's
lay
night man
down
time.
and you're like, I don't want to sleep yet. So then you start flirting with the night man, right? Like all of a sudden it's like come to the dark side, stay up longer,
Yeah.
sleep in, don't brush your hair, you know, that kind of thing. Don't shave. Sorry, Kevin.
It's easy to adjust to
Don't get out of your
staying up
PJs.
till 2 and sleeping until 10, but it's not as easy to adjust back to, going to bed at 9:30.
Well, we had a guy at work who, well, actually, this funny story is 2 different guys involved in this story. One of the evening guys was working a morning shift with me, and the other evening guy's phone was left over overnight. He left it on the charger at work, and his alarm started going off at 2. Right, so he was gonna wake up for 2 and work for 3, kind of thing. And I'm like, good God, he's like 30 years old. And we're both laughing, me and this other night guy. And then that night guy's alarm starts going off 10 minutes later, and I'm
That's
just
so
looking at
funny.
him like, really? You're both night men. Like, how can you be this age and still be the night man? It can't be.
Well, it's hard though. Like if you, but like I don't know about you guys, but I need like time before and after work.
I start my mornings off in a bit of a panicked rush, and I do that on purpose because I don't want to give myself time to relax. So I wake up at 5:30 generally. I do my workout, eat my breakfast, and then run out the door, and I'm there at like 6:30 kind of thing.
That makes sense.
That's the way I like to start my mornings.
I feel like an hour is still reasonably gratuitous.
Yeah.
You
It
know?
is.
Like an hour, I can get a little bit of stretching. I can get a breakfast, a coffee, pack a lunch.
I don't want to come home and have to do my workout. I like to get that done before I
Yeah.
go to work.
Yeah.
And I only eat twice a day, so I need to
Fair.
get my breakfast in.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't want to wake up late and then not have that and then run out the door.
No.
So that hour that I wake up early isn't leisurely. It's still marching along.
Oh, goodness,
You
yeah.
know, And I find that if I check my phone for even a few minutes, it throws me off track. Because you get sucked into the hole, right? You start like kind of slipping, and you're like, now I need to check this thing, and now I'll spend some time looking at this thing, and then hey, fuck this guy, and then what's this person up to? And then before long, you've lost 20 minutes.
Yeah, if not
It's a
more.
trap.
That's the worst habit. Even if you have like 3 hours morning, because now that I start work at 9 or 10 typically, I'll often get up early and have 3 hours in the morning where I'm like, hey, I'm gonna make a post on Instagram. I'm gonna get my workout done. I'm gonna eat breakfast. I'm gonna pack a lunch. I'm gonna have a leisurely coffee. I've got all these things to do, and then I'll make a big breakfast, and I'll say, I'll just throw a quick cartoon on while I'm eating my breakfast. And then all of a sudden, it's time to leave for work, and I thought I only watched 15 minutes of TV, but somehow here we are. I'm in a rush. I didn't work out. I didn't brush
See,
my
you know
teeth
what?
yet.
The Nightman isn't in a rush. The Nightman just goes, who cares if I'm late? I'll put another one on.
That's right.
And that's where I don't want to be.
But this is Morning Man, just
Yeah.
like this Morning Boy.
Well, I always thought like
Morning Man fell
the
asleep.
Nightman creates messes that the Dayman has to clean up after.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah, that's very
there's an
accurate.
episode of
This is the guy talking about jerking
Seinfeld,
off.
for example, where Seinfeld has a. Well, it's funny. Seinfeld has a date with this woman that he can't stand, and he's trying to break up with her because she's an idiot, and she prattles on and on about nonsense that he doesn't care about. But she's very good looking, so he's playing chess with his penis. Like
We've all been there.
his alter ego in his mind is like him, but with like a penis-shaped hat on his head. And they're playing chess, and he's like, I don't want to lose, because he doesn't want to have to deal with this woman anymore. But the penis always wins, right?
Well, yeah, that's just life
Yeah.
right there.
So
There's
then
no
he's always
escaping that one.
listening to this woman that he can't stand because he has to yield to basically the Nightman.
Penis Jerry.
The Nightman is the penis in this context, right?
That's about right.
Quick question: Seinfeld, the show.
Sure.
Do you think that happens now is successful, or do you think it was just only able to be successful in its time?
I love Seinfeld, so I'll watch it forever. So I can't give you a great answer to that
Or
question.
is it just the old version of How I Met Your Mother?
Well, but like Seinfeld was a little different than that. I'd say.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I'd say Friends was like the old version of How I Met Your
Yeah.
Mother, because there's that like.
Yeah, fair. More
There's that-
promiscuity.
Although Friends is, in my opinion, great. I just love it. I don't know why. I identify
all
with
have our-
Chandler too much.
We all have our like. I identify with George Costanza quite
Really?
a bit of Seinfeld.
I still think Festivus is one of the greatest things.
Yeah.
But
Have you
like,
ever been to a Festivus?
no.
I have friends who hold a Festivus
Oh, that's
in
great.
Fort McLeod.
I like that.
It involves a lot of intoxicants
Yeah.
For the rest of
and a
us,
full weekend.
It's not over till you pin me, George.
What is that? It's an aluminum pole. Surprising weight to height dense ratio. What the fuck was it he said?
Because like we watched that when we were a certain age.
Yeah.
So take the kids that are of a certain age now, put that show on. Do you think it is
They
successful?
don't.
Seinfeld?
No, they don't. They don't get it.
No.
No.
Well, there's a lot of old. There's a
Take
lot
out
of
the
old
references,
life,
though.
but there's old lifestyle. Like nowadays, people living in apartment buildings is not that cool. Popping in to borrow a cup of sugar is not like a big thing.
Well,
you know,
because you have too much anxiety to leave your apartment. I understand that.
Yeah,
but
no one sits in a
Some of
coffee
those
shop.
jokes
That's
are always
where's
going
your
to be
mask?
great to me,
Like-
though. Like there's like Kramer always eats food out of Jerry's fridge, right?
Yeah. And he break and enters every day.
Yeah, and one time Jerry's like, hey, you know, I have to pay for these groceries. And then Kramer's like, well, I'll be accountable. So he has a mooching inventory.
Yeah.
I just love stuff like that. But people don't really laugh at that anymore. Like the
Well-
irony and the.
Is it not relatable?
I don't know.
I mean, I have a friend who does all those things.
Yeah, I mean, fair.
Jeez.
But like, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't know if the show itself was the genius or was it genius in its time. And I mean, probably because he was writing it for that time.
Well, I'll tell you this. I don't love Seinfeld's stand up.
Yeah.
Like, I don't love it. So
I like
definitely.
Seinfeld as Seinfeld.
Yeah.
I like how angry he is. But I think everybody thinks he's Jerry Seinfeld from the show.
Yeah.
But he's an angry man.
Yeah, he's much
And he
different
hates
than.
everything and almost everyone.
Where in the
and I
show
enjoy
he's
that.
incredibly morally gray and ambivalent.
Yeah.
Like he's just kind of here. Like
Yep.
he has no real hard opinions on anything in the
No.
show. He just exists.
No, he's like the silly putty of
Yeah.
like protagonist characters.
Which is great because everyone else in the show is so wacky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Like they're so off the
that
wall.
makes him the anchor, right?
Yeah.
He's kind of in the middle going,
Well, and he was the worst actor of the bunch too. So I mean, it's probably best that he doesn't strain
Don't
himself.
try too hard.
I just noticed that like we have all these sitcoms and things like that are on regular TV,
Yeah.
but you don't see them on streaming services.
No.
All of them
Seinfeld
are
was
now.
involved in a bidding
I know
war.
like old
mean
ones
new
are,
ones?
but like you're not seeing a Netflix version of How I Met Your Mother or whatever.
No, you don't. You don't get too many sitcoms in general anymore,
No.
and especially
these,
not
like,
too many
hour-long
that are
stories.
watchable.
No.
Like there's a lot of bad ones out there. Like they churn them out. Like they're
Yeah.
like they're going out of style because they are.
Well, it's like, so say you have to fill time.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, you're going to get to shows that have to fill time that you don't have the effort or the budget to put into it.
Yeah.
But with the internet now, the budget's there.
Well, the budget's less.
Yes. No, it's oddly more. So there's a bigger budget now for a show that'll get a million viewers than for a budget for a show back in the 90s that would get 10 million viewers. Right? That 1 million viewer show now has 10 times the budget of the 10 million viewer show in the 90s.
Well, yeah, because the shows in the 90s changed the game for, or I guess in the early 2000s, it changed the game for dollars.
Well,
Because,
and
like,
the
all
number
a
of
sudden-
dollars getting funneled into the entertainment industry is going up every year
Yeah.
so much.
Well,
that
Seinfeld's a good reason for that, though, right? Because he was the $1 million an episode.
Yeah, it got real. They offered him $8
Wow.
million an episode to stay on.
Yeah.
But he
Wow.
refused it because
Him
he knew the
personally.
quality
Yeah,
was
him
going.
personally.
Yes, because the quality was starting to drop because Larry David left the
Crazy.
project.
Well, like those the guys from Friends, every one of them in the last 3 seasons, I think they were getting $36 million a season.
Yep.
That's 22 episodes.
Yeah, they
That's
offered
20 minutes of
Seinfeld was
content.
famous for having the biggest offered per episode
Deal.
ever, but he walked away from. Like
Yeah.
that was one of the most amazing things that anyone had ever heard of. Was like,
Crazy.
wait, he's gonna walk away from how much?
When
Well,
you're that
even like
rich.
even It's Always Sunny.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
he's the guy who created it, Rob McElhenney.
Mm-hmm.
He got $450 million or something like that. His net worth is crazy
That
because
show
of creating
to
that
me
show.
is kind of like I think the new age dancer to a Seinfeld.
Great point.
Really, like
That's a great
It's
point.
a bit wackier, and it's a bit. There's no laugh track anymore,
Yeah.
right?
The only
but
thing
they're
where-
all like reprehensible people.
Yeah.
and they're all somehow together.
Where
right?
Sonny takes it home, though, is that the only way to truly watch the show is to imagine that they're all on LSD the whole time.
I love
which
that.
really makes the show better for me.
But I think that that's another thing. You couldn't do that kind of a thing in the 90s.
No, you sure
can do
couldn't.
that kind of a thing
Well, because
now.
the war on drugs was at its height.
Right. So
Yeah.
that's the natural progression. Of,
Yeah.
You know, that's your answer to Seinfeld today, in my opinion, is shows like that.
yeah,
Interesting.
Always
That's a
Sunny's
great point.
That's a good comparison.
Yeah.
But then I think that's why I had no trouble enjoying that show, too, because
Yeah.
it was always a similar sort of humor.
Always Sunny is like Cheers meets
Yeah.
Seinfeld.
I've equated that.
Yeah.
Like when someone was first telling me about it, I was like, oh, it sounds like Cheers.
Mm-hmm.
And then I watched it. I'm like, oh, but the humor and the setups are like Seinfeld. Because
Mm-hmm,
the way Seinfeld would work is they would be setting up this grand finale of like all these horrible events culminate every episode.
Yeah.
So like they'd be dropping little
Yeah,
tic
little
tacs,
hints.
and then by the end it all comes
it's just
together.
a disaster.
Yeah, into a horrible disaster.
It comes together into falling apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
And I love that kind of humor.
Of course,
Like,
yeah.
I love the build up. Like, if a comedian's telling a long joke, they don't have to be doing slapstick, like 30 seconds to laugh, 30 seconds to laugh. I'm here for a 5-minute wind up to a huge laugh.
I'm here to
Like a
be told a
Chappelle.
story. I want to hear a story.
Oh, yeah.
And I want the moral to be chaos.
Yeah.
Right? Here we are, always Sunny.
Well, you'll get a better laugh out of me if you build it up and you
That's
really
right.
put the pieces in.
Well, and it also shows intelligence. Playing the long game is a longer form of longer thinking or better thinking, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Because like to have the wherewithal to have a through line that goes the whole length for a payoff and
That's
making you wait.
Another thing that I really enjoy about long-running sitcoms is running gags.
Yeah.
That are nods to the fans.
Yeah.
Right.
Although
where
I
you're
always
like,
wonder like how many of those make it tough to jump into it.
I think the ones that I like are the ones that are really subtle that wouldn't ruin
and they're
anything.
slid into a normal conversation. They don't interrupt the storyline of the show at all.
Right, yeah.
But
It's not a necessity.
like,
that's from season 1.
Kramer has a friend that you never see that he's always talking about.
Yeah,
Well, not
yeah.
always, but infrequently he'll bring him up. Oh, I was over at Bob Sakamoto's house. And then it's,
Or-
Bob Sakamoto's got a great fishing rod. Like, he's just always got
Yeah.
this character. And you're like, are you ever going to meet this guy?
Or in Arrested Development, once every 5 episodes, they go, "I've made a terrible mistake."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even just like the joke about maybe.
Yep, exactly.
Like her name is the joke.
That's
and
right.
Like that. Yeah, I just love that.
Here's
I just
one
love
that-
it.
because she's maybe his cousin.
He's your cousin, maybe.
Something kind of interesting that I found the other day, someone commented on one of our podcasts, and the comment was literally just, I love that this is just a conversation.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was actually a compliment or a diss, because you can't
I'll
read
take
sarcasm. But, like, that's what makes things good. Like, the best shows are the ones that are just like,
Show about nothing, man.
yeah, exactly.
That's
It's-
where I really enjoy his Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty
'Cause
good.
That's one of those things where you get to see how much of an angry man he is.
Yeah.
And I very much appreciate that.
Yeah, I've watched quite a few of those.
Oh, yeah.
But I think that people try and make too much of a premise sometimes. It's like, oh, it has to be this and that thing, and there has to be a bell and a whistle and like a gorilla hanging out over here, and all these different things you need to put in there before they think people will watch. And by
Yeah.
the time they do all this legwork, it's like, wow, this is completely unrelatable. Thanks.
Well, think about it this way. So we're doing this podcast because we want to, and because we have.
Opposed
I
to
hope-
against their will.
Well, no,
Scott's
seriously.
like, not me.
I'm being forced. Being forced
I
at
fucking
gunpoint.
hate
There's,
you
The audience
guys.
can't see the chain here.
I can't wait to get away.
there's a red dot on me. No, like, so we're doing it because we want to do it, and we think that it's good for all types of reasons. But
Yeah.
imagine if we were trying to put this together, okay? But what it was you already have on $300 million of advertising over the next year.
Yeah.
That you have to create something that will justify that.
So you feel the pressure.
I can't imagine
I'll
what
tell
that
you
must
what,
feel
right?
like.
I don't feel so. I don't want to get into this specifically, but
We
on
have
my
$300 million
Instagram,
of advertising. I
on
get
my
it.
Instagram these days, I feel pressured to perform.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, I don't want to post just anything. I was telling you about that video today. I'm
Yeah,
like, oh
exactly.
man, it's not going to go well. It's not going to go, and I know. As I'm speaking, it's not going well.
At the same time, that particular video for some of your followers will be their wet dream. It's
I
exactly
don't
what
know.
they're here for.
I don't know about that.
But if there's just think about it, if there is a I love ninjas and cool anime stuff, if there's anyone like that following you, which has got to be some, that's exactly the content they're here for.
Yeah, those guys won't get a chance to see it because it'll be buried in no time. Thank God. But anyway,
Okay, never mind.
dark
the optimism.
work. I don't feel good about that. It feels like I'm doing like a mafia hit job or something, and you're kissing your wife goodbye, and you're like, oh, I've got to go out again, sweetheart. She's like, I'll see you soon, honey.
You're
You know,
promi- you're
she
pro-
knows what you're going to do.
You're
This must
promising
be
your
that
kid you'll come
feeling-
back, even though you're not coming back.
You might not come back, right?
Yeah.
There's a movie that I'm referencing here called Road to Perdition.
Oh, yeah.
A Tom Hanks movie where he's a hitman.
That was a good one.
One of his kids comes along with him for one of his jobs, and one of the other hitmen sees his kid, and so now they've got to kill his kid.
Oh, good.
So they go to his house and they kill his other kid and his wife, and then he takes his son on the road with him, and they're on the road like trying to evade the mafia that's coming after them. It's a fantastic
Gesundheit.
movie. It's more about father and son dynamics than it is about anything else. But man, that's a good movie. Anyway,
That's a good movie.
I'll let it.
yeah, that's what I'm picturing. It's dark work, when you're
Yeah.
about to do something that you don't feel good about.
Yeah.
And so I think that when you get into these positions where money is influencing what you're doing, or there's some leverage there, then the content isn't fun anymore because it
Well,
feels
work.
compelled.
It's a job.
Because like
Definitely.
I never have fun on Instagram anymore. It's just a job now.
I have a different point to throw at this, though. So suppose we come here and we're doing it just for fun. It's a passion project. We're putting content out there. It's a blast. We enjoy it. End of story. Now, suppose we've put up $300 million of advertising, which means we obviously have another $300 million for actual production for our pilot in the first 2 episodes.
Oh, that'd be sweet.
You know, yeah, exactly. So now we're putting in a lot of work. We're slaving like dogs. There is some stress here.
we keep
We're
talking
working our butts
300
off.
million.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, I do it for 300 million. But I don't want to.
But I
That's
guess
my
what
number.
I'm saying is that the content we have after that, even though it took a lot more work, it might have been a less carefree, joyous time. When we finish and stand back, we have a way cooler product to look at.
Maybe.
Sure.
By what metric?
Yeah, that's where like I don't. It depends as to what you're.
Well, we made something with a reach of more than 20.
I just think that like when people are pitching shows,
Mm-hmm.
you're coming from a place of like It's Always Sunny was pitched 3 guys that are friends.
Mm-hmm.
They had this idea for a show, and then they did it on a dime budget, and then it worked.
Yeah.
And I think there's like genuine inspiration there and all those things. And then all of a sudden, later down the road, monetary value gets ascribed to it. Just kind of like, let's say, Lost. Lost was supposed to be a 1 season miniseries, and then it
They
did way too
drug
good,
it out to
and they
garbage.
drug it out
For
and
long,
ruined
yeah,
it.
it's complete shit.
And everybody that was attached to it from the beginning left. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those like, I think the fun and the genuine goodness in the idea is the inspiration part. And
Yes.
then what can happen to it later is what happened to Jerry Seinfeld,
But yeah,
where it's just like the quality suffered.
in
It didn't
season
matter the
8
amount
and
of
9,
money.
he was like, "This is getting weak." Like it wasn't it was still good, but like he could tell there was a drop, and he didn't want it to get to the point where it was like, "Oh Jesus, this is bad. Why didn't
it's like
someone step in?"
You keep putting things out, and then all of a sudden you go from this
Yeah.
to like, why is this guy still doing this?
Yeah,
He's-
exactly. You
Has
don't
he
wanna
ever
go
been
out that
funny? You
way.
ruin your legacy.
You don't want to go out that way.
That's like the whole like I used to always have this argument with one of the guys I used to work with, but it was this idea of like Hendrix died before he could be Elvis.
Right.
Like Hendrix died at the top. You could only envision him going up, and Elvis died on a toilet.
Yeah.
Like it was unfortunate that Elvis got into. He had a long enough longevity that he could kind of hurt his legacy with the way that his managers steered him. Whereas Hendrix died so young that he had only mythology and possibility ahead of him.
I feel like we're seeing that right now with Mike Tyson to some degree. Like that fight that he went and did.
Yep.
It's like, dude, please. No.
Why?
Just because it's just cheesy. It's
didn't
not
see
real.
I want him to do a real fight.
A real fight, sure. I'd be
Have-
on board for that.
Have you
Yeah.
seen Mike Tyson Mysteries?
I
Maybe the best thing he's done.
He has not peaked. He is doing good things.
Yeah.
He is
Well,
doing great
in terms
Ayahuasca
of-
has helped that man
Yeah,
exponentially.
in terms of his boxing career, unless you're gonna really fight,
I'll be honest, I've never seen Mike Tyson box.
What?
But Mike
He's
Tyson
a
Mysteries
monster.
is
Dude,
incredible.
he's a monster.
I
go watch him versus.
I don't care to watch people beating
Evander
each other
Holyfield.
up. I've watched a bunch of UFC and I'm like, yeah.
It's like seeing a
it's-
lion.
I think boxing
things
is more
on TV.
entertaining than UFC, to be quite honest with you.
No.
I do. I think there's.
I guess what I'm saying is I don't not like UFC.
Boxing
but I
now
also
is
don't
really
care.
boring.
Well, yeah, I'm not talking now because I don't watch it now, but
Yeah.
like old boxing fights were really good.
Well, that was back. Like Tyson wasn't a boxer's boxer. That's like in this fight, Roy Jones is a boxer's boxer.
Yeah.
Because he boxes based on points. So points are just connecting punches, right? Whereas what Mike Tyson was a furious animal
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
was there
Will
to
beat you up.
destroy worlds.
Yeah.
Like he talked about when he was thinking about hurting people, he would get an erection.
Yeah.
right.
So that level of human
Yeah.
that is a destroyer.
You mean a Nightman?
Yeah, he is
Nightman.
pure Nightman.
Yeah, that's Nightman Unchained. There is no Dayman there.
No, there's no Dayman.
got a
That
face-
Dayman has been fired.
Dayman has been choked out.
He got a
Yeah.
face tattoo long before it was even sort of okay.
Oh yeah,
Nightman.
but like
Nightman.
that era, or like just specifically
We're gonna sing this before this episode's over.
just specifically him was less about scoring points and more about doing what that man was built to do, which is hitting as hard as he possibly can.
See, if you ask me what Mike Tyson was meant to do and what he's built to do, it is Mike Tyson Mysteries.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
Yeah.
This whole
It's pretty
episode has
phenomenal.
become an advertisement for Mike Tyson's Mysteries.
If you haven't seen Mike Tyson Mysteries,
yeah.
You're gonna have to hold on until season 3.
Yeah.
Because
So-
the first 2 seasons are just working up to it. By season
Seasons-
3, they hit their.
I
They hit
think
their
we
prime.
should be done with seasons. I'm done with seasons. Seasons have become nothing.
I
Like,
hate fall and spring.
no,
and
I mean like
I'm moving to Mexico. I
Sure.
hate seasons.
let's have
seasons are
weather,
stupid.
but
Southeast Asia
like
from now on.
seasons of TV are ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh, here's your 6-episode season. What? They used to be 24 episodes. So let me tell you, we'd be in season 4 right now. Season
Oh.
3 or 4 of the Remy Show already.
Unless
yeah.
unless this is episode 24, right?
Yeah.
No,
so-
25.
Oh.
Yeah, it is.
Well, episode 25 then. Well, that means we're the first episode of season 2.
No, 22 episode arc.
22 episode arc. Okay.
But that's for 21-minute episodes.
Yeah, no,
Right.
we're way ahead of that.
We're doing 2-hour-long episodes.
We gotta be.
We're doing
That's a
movie
season
of the
per-
month.
Yeah.
We're doing what is it, Lifetime movies or whatever. We're doing those every week.
Every
currently.
week, yeah. Then the same guys too. Like
Yeah.
this is actually a like some people would probably not be able to do this and make it interesting for that long.
Everyone that I talk to about doing this, they have the same reaction, which technically you and I did when we started
That
this, which is like,
surprises
I
me,
could
though.
never do that.
I'm so surprised when I hear people say that because to me it seems obvious you could sit down and do this type of thing for 3 hours
Most
repetitively.
people don't sit down and talk to somebody for 2 hours, ever.
but it gets easier over time.
Most
with the
people
same
can't
amount.
even talk
Yeah.
to themselves for that long.
Right.
Like they can't even do
So-
that. So
This is a bit of a side tangent, but I have a friend who sees friendships and conversation a little bit differently. You know, if someone doesn't have enough in common with him interest-wise, he has a hard time making that conversation, that friendship. But if he's not paying attention and just lets himself go, he's super interesting. You can have a conversation with him on any topic. But if he ever gets self-conscious and thinks about it, well, suddenly he's kind of like,
Reclused.
What do I talk about?
it's very
Right.
strange.
You
I
know?
actually prefer talking to people who have less in common
Of
with
course.
me. Like
'Cause-
really.
Because if you have a lot in common with me, we're just going to talk about tattoos and electrical the whole time.
And elevators.
And elevators, of course.
Yeah.
Don't be crazy.
Travel.
I mean, are we
And,
talking
catching
hydraulic
chickens.
or traction? Or are we talking cable elevators?
Whatever you prefer.
Yeah.
I mean,
know
it
what
all
your-
depends how many
I don't know what your
floors.
favorite is.
Listen, don't ask me anything complicated right now. I was the night man last night,
Yeah.
okay?
Oh, were
I can't think.
He's
where-
Night Jer.
Wow. I was my night man, which is maybe one in the morning.
Way chiller.
Yeah.
Stayed up till 11:45.
Yeah, exactly.
So speaking of things,
Oh, yeah. I do that sometimes.
we watched.
Oh,
Something-
you're gonna hear about the movie.
Well, I think. Okay, so
I
we
want
watched,
the title at least.
the movie's title is Songbird.
Yeah,
I had
that's right.
heard nothing about it. We have that. We have scene points or whatever, so we can rent movies from the Cineplex app that are brand new.
Is
or
that
whatever.
right? I have like 14,000 of those.
Dude, you can rent whatever you want.
Wow.
Like this is a brand new movie, and it was like 1,500 points or something like that for a home premiere or whatever. So you can see stuff that's right away. Speaking of which, I don't know. Have you guys watched Tenet?
No.
Okay, that's your
What
assigned
have you just been watching movies all
Okay.
week?
Yeah. What else are you doing?
Fair enough.
TENNET.
No, it's just TENET.
Turns out Kevin was the night man all along.
Dude. But Tenet, like, other than I think they've had. Tenet was good, but I think it's something that I'm gonna have to watch multiple times. This
What
is
is
like
it?
Fight Club level intricacy.
Oh.
Do you want me to like? We could talk about that one. Songbird was terrible, so I don't really want
Okay,
to talk
well,
about
let's
that.
get to Songbird first. 'Cause
Okay, Songbird
how was
first.
it terrible? Was
I
it
think-
funny terrible?
It was like sad terrible. It was like everybody that's in Hollywood that is just desperate for work that bought mansions that they couldn't afford are in this movie. and
Uh-oh.
it's made like, and producers too. Like, it's produced by Michael Bay and the guy who did The Purge, and like all these different producers.
Was it
It's
trying
like,
to be dramatic?
no, well, yes. So it's a serious movie.
See, if it was slapstick, then a bunch of cameo movie, like a big one long cameo movie is fine.
Yeah, no, this is not that.
Oh, gross.
This is a world of desperate actors.
Because like, what's that? What's the
What is the premise?
So the premise is COVID-23 has been ravaging the world. Everybody's been in lockdown for multiple years.
Oh, yes, that's what it
There are
is.
people that are immune.
And they have to kill the ones that aren't.
No, but it has a death rate of 56%.
Okay.
And people are isolated to their homes, and there's like the Department of Sanitation. If you have a fever, they round you up and put you in a kill camp, and like it's all this crazy stuff.
These kinds of movies, to me, they're going to be gone next year.
Yeah.
I
Like,
hope
that's
so.
not a movie you can watch again.
Because like what it seemed like was quarantine filming, where it's like you're having a bunch of scenes that have one character in them. So you have your filmographer, your actor, and your guy with the boom arm, and that's it on the set kind of
Yeah.
thing. So it's very little character interaction, or if it was them through like phones and stuff, and everybody, like, it's like natural disasters, but everybody's cell phone FaceTimes perfectly. And it's like,
We're
it was
doing
really
this
weird.
too much right now with media. We're making things that will not last because
yeah.
we are
Well, it's-
putting in so many
It's too
flavors of the
specific and
time.
Too pertinent.
Well,
Well,
but
the trailer was cut amazingly.
Yeah.
The trailer was cut like,
props to the editors.
dude, whoever edited that trailer, and I always love that because like I can edit together a trailer.
Trailer was great.
No, seriously.
Sometimes
What a
the
review.
trailer is
The
better than the
trailer is
movie.
the easiest way to lie
Oh,
to
dude,
the audience.
skip the movie. Watch the trailer, though. Real
Seriously.
good trailer. And the music they used was
I
spot
would,
on.
I would watch the trailer, and it's better than it's 100,000 times better than the movie.
Don't get the big bag of
See,
popcorn.
this is where we could pause
watch the trailer.
and watch the trailer. I'm not recommending we do it right now.
Yes, but in
for
life,
future
yes,
concept.
absolutely. We need that little marker.
So skip the bag of popcorn, grab a chocolate bar, eat
Yeah.
that while you watch the trailer.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll thank
One of those
me.
mini chocolate bars
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
You don't really need a lot.
Just one of those little Kit Kats with 2 pieces.
Yeah, exactly. 1, 2.
So you think drive-in comes back?
It doesn't work in Canada.
No?
Well, not this part of Canada anyway.
Yeah.
Well, we're
Would
too
you
cold
sit in your
here.
car for?
Only if they find a way to like hook your car up so that it doesn't lose gas heating itself.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
'Cause
no,
that's the
that's
problem.
tough.
Is if you park your '92 Accord at the drive-in with your girlfriend and you die of asphyxiation,
You mean your
it's not a
84
good thing.
pickup around here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Just
It just takes a couple holes
To
in the
me, it
floorboards.
seems
and
like
exhaust
it's
in.
weird to think that we could go back. But in this one case, I could see drive-in kind of making a resurgence.
I mean, what it's really showing me is that outdoor, like the outdoors, really matters now. Like we are at a place where, for a long time, it's been like, well, you got your house and we have all these things you can do inside, but when those are all gone, what is your weather like?
Yeah.
Because that has made it like, oh man, do I need to move to Costa Rica?
Yeah, we do.
Like we
All
kind of
us.
do.
Yeah.
Because it sucks. If you can't have all the things that are all the indoor spaces and you need to be outside, man, this place sucks. Like,
Yeah,
hard.
this is one of the worst places too. Because
Yeah.
it's not cold, it's windy, more blisteringly hot.
Yep.
Yep.
Right? Like it's miserable. I wouldn't want to spend much time outside here. Like
Well,
the other
this
day,
is-
I'm outside and a box hit me, flying through the air, and it just smacks me up against the side.
Yeah.
I'm like, God damn it, Lethbridge.
And that's a nice day because it's only -4.
Well, it's not that cold, but it's windy as fuck. And I find the wind particularly offensive. It's like if someone was blowing in your face or
Like
something.
any good Lethbridge guy.
You just want to smack them. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Where you're like, could you fucking not?
Yeah.
Like, Jesus
real.
Christ, I was walking here.
You got a wind blow up in my face.
I hate it.
I mean, I've got 15 years of construction experience. I promise you, I hate the wind
He built
too.
the wind.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I did work at wind turbines one time.
Oh, of course you did.
Yeah, yeah. For 3 months straight,
We
16-hour
need
days.
that job counter to come
Oh,
up
dude,
whenever
yeah.
he mentions
I think
something
I've got
else
like
he did.
18 jobs on that list so far.
Yeah. The man, odd job Scott.
But that's really what this thing has proven to me. And in that movie, it was the same thing. Like, obviously, they're all locked down in California, but the
course
excuse
they are.
that they gave was that COVID is airborne, which it is.
So the wind is a friend.
No, everywhere outside is COVID.
Oh, good.
It was like the lack of science in that movie really hurt me. Like it hurt my brain a lot.
Suspend disbelief.
Yep.
That's where my stepdad would just be watching a Steven Seagal movie, and I'd be like cringing, and he'd look over and be like, "Shut your brain off and enjoy it." Right? That's the line that goes through my head because that's what he told me when I was young.
Yeah.
When a movie's terrible,
Which is very practical.
just shut your brain off and just go along for it.
if you're not going to turn it off, find a way to enjoy it.
Well,
Well,
there's a certain variety of people who like terrible movies too.
But it wasn't terrible enough that I could enjoy it. It was trying to be serious. It was trying to be a good movie.
Right.
And it just sucked.
It wasn't quite Battlefield Earth level.
No. See that? Fantastic.
Yep.
If anybody
God,
wants a good
good
recommend
Lord.
for a movie,
It's
Battlefield
just
Earth.
so good.
It is really
The
good.
scene when he stands up and he's too tall and he hits the ceiling. Ah, crap, lousy ceiling. I'm like, why did they leave that in? Was that meant to be in there?
Yes. Yes,
What
it
were they
was.
thinking?
Someone wrote that into the
Someone
script.
wrote this in.
Smash
Man.
head on ceiling.
Of all the religions, I really hope Scientology is the one that's right. Because it's wild.
I hope we get to a point where that's what we do. Right?
Scientology.
Oh my God. If you haven't watched that movie recently,
The
Battlefield
Into
Earth.
the Clear.
you're in for
No,
a treat.
Battlefield Earth.
Okay.
You're in for a treat. Go watch
I've
that.
watched it maybe a year after it came out, which
Yeah.
is probably
That's
6
one of
or
those
7 years
rare
ago now.
movies that I look for reviews for just to see what the reviews say. Just because they're always as funny as the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Like Roger Ebert's review. There was a moment where I stopped taking the movie seriously, and then I stopped being angry and started instead thinking I was witnessing history. I was watching the worst movie ever made.
Oh, fantastic.
I'm like, yeah, there's a turning point where you're like, oh, this isn't good. Oh,
Or is it great?
but it's amazing.
Yeah.
there we go.
There's like that deeper genius.
Yeah,
It's kind of my favorite kind of movie, though.
it's
Yeah,
firing.
I get it.
It's
I get it, man. Like, because
Have you guys seen Primer yet?
No, I
No, I
still
haven't
haven't
yet.
watched
Okay,
it.
it's like a 45-minute movie.
You talked about it. So
Yeah,
you have to watch it
takes
several
like 5
times.
watches to get what's going on.
So Tenet is like that.
Wicked,
It's
but it's 4 hours long, isn't it?
just under 3. Just under 3.
Okay,
It's like
okay.
2:45 or something like that. I think it really.
If only I had a month off to watch
I
something
know,
like that.
right?
What
I think
is
it
the
really.
premise?
So, the premise is really tough to explain,
Okay.
and that's one of the reasons that like no trailer has really explained it well, and a lot of I think that the movie kind of suffered from, I don't know if it's like COVID related workflow issues, but the audio is really tough, like really tough to track. The music is right over top of the dialogue for all of the movie. It's really weird. Like they have these little synthy fluxes and things like that that are over top of the dialogue the whole movie.
Making it hard to hear.
Yeah. It's
Like just-
really hard to hear and to follow along
Are
with.
you a subtitles guy?
I would have turned them on, to be
I
honest
like
with you.
subtitles
I'm a
when they're
subtitles guy
needed.
always.
But like, so that was my only real qualm with that movie is like it was hard to follow who was where, what they were, and why anything was happening to whoever. Like, it just really was unclear. But the premise of the movie is that someone in the future has sent back technology to the past that allows the reversal of time.
Oh,
But it's reversal of time for particular objects or particular people.
Sure.
This sounds
There's a
incredible.
whole show
is-
made
I'm
on this
super in.
It
premise.
is incredible.
There's a whole show made on a similar premise. It's called Dark.
Yo.
It's a German Netflix series.
Yeah, I want to watch that.
It's amazing.
So that like the idea
It's
being
the best show Netflix has ever made, guaranteed.
What?
So the idea being that if I put this water bottle through this machine,
Yeah.
on the other side of it, it gets drank in reverse. So it starts off empty
Yeah.
and fills up. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
okay.
But I can interact with it
Yeah,
in
no,
the
it makes
opposite
sense.
direction. So it's getting like, and it's one of those like, it will get to wherever it's gone because it's already happened, but I'm going to see it happen backwards.
There was a lot of that mind-bending logic in Dark where I was like, sometimes my brain was expanding just trying to understand what was happening.
Yeah.
But there was a path there.
Yeah.
Where you're like, oh my God, what? This character is really this person, but they're from an alternate timeline and they're here now doing this thing.
All right, you
and-
guys are watching Primer. You're gonna
Yeah,
bloody love
like,
Primer. Yeah.
As
yeah,
I was
yeah.
watching that, I was like, I feel like that movie is like
Yeah.
what maybe inspired this idea.
Primer's the toned down two dudes in their garage version of this stuff.
Yeah.
Like super ultra low budget, but just here to explore the mind twisty concept of it through two different perspectives that you're constantly learning. The perspectives you've been looking through have been coming from different versions of these dudes who've traveled back different amounts of times and are now replaying multiple, like, you know how in chess you just have to play several steps ahead of your opponent and you're looking like, oh, well, I'm going to do this. They have to do this. Then I have to do this. You're playing 6 turns from now.
Yep.
That's how Primer is. It's chess, but with 2 dudes and a time machine.
Yeah.
So in Dark, what ends up happening, I won't spoil. It's not spoilers at all. There's no way to spoil what happens. But one character tries to go back and save another character, but someone gets stuck in the wrong timeline, ends up having babies with someone in that timeline, and then something else happens and someone goes somewhere else and has babies with someone from the future kind of thing. And before long, the timeline is so jumbled up with things that shouldn't have happened that
No kidding.
there's almost no way to unwrite any one thing without killing everyone. Because everyone that you know in the show is basically a product of like time travel, crossbreeding, and
you'd have to go back to it before it started
yeah,
and reset.
and they're on a course where the world is going to end unless they can fix things.
Yep.
And there's almost no way to fix things 'cause
Umbrella Academy style.
it's just so jumbled where you're like, and there's these 3 characters that are all one character from different timelines, and they're working together as sort of the villain, and they're going throughout the timeline, like sort of killing people to try and fix things.
Yeah.
But it's
As you do.
It's very, very
Stuff's
hard
wrong.
to
Start
explain. Because the show is pitched to me like Stranger Things, but German.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
it's
creepy.
not though. It's way better than Stranger Things.
Okay, that's a
And-
bold claim.
yeah.
Stranger Things is pretty solid.
It
pretty
is.
into it.
I loved Stranger Things, but Dark is, I think, my
Darker?
favorite Netflix.
Would you say it's darker?
Yeah, it's definitely darker,
No, that's good.
but not like there are no monsters.
Oh, okay.
There's,
So it's not as strange as what you're saying.
It's just like people are really,
Just
really.
things.
Just things.
Yeah,
Dark
people
things.
are just really messed up, and there's all kinds of like revelations where you're like,
It's a German TV show. You can't have that without people being messed up.
yeah, all of a sudden you're like, oh, wait a minute, this character was romantically involved with his great grandmother, like, but they're the same age in this timeline.
The grandfather paradox.
Yeah, it's very odd,
Yeah.
and then your mind has to do a lot of gymnastics to work things out.
What do you think the fascination is with? So, like, there's different ideas or like topics within movies and things like that that people resonate with. Like, and I think it's for a particular reason. Like zombies, I think, are because people feel like if you have a zombie apocalypse, all of a sudden the kind of monotony of life, you have to go and be like a different version of yourself, right? Like you have to be the hero or survival, or things are more immediate in terms of your reaction to them. It's all
I
about
think zombie apocalypse is the closest thing we have to an idea of another world war,
sure.
right? And people like war; it gives them purpose.
Purpose, I guess, would
Right.
be more what I'm like, because survival is purpose at that point.
Yeah.
So why do you think time travel, or this alternate universe thing more specifically, is like kind of always hitting over and over again? Because it's kind of like with zombies. We have
I've
no
thought a lot
evidence of
about
that being a thing.
Oddly, I've thought a lot about this topic, and I
Okay.
think it's because most people regret a lot.
Ooh.
And deep down, if there was a way somehow that they could change things,
Or maybe in another
you know
reality,
the phrase,
it's done right.
I wish I knew then what I know now.
Yeah.
That is why we obsess over time travel. And I believe that's why we will one day have time travel. I was talking to my coworker that I often bring up about this, and he's like, time travel's impossible. We'll never be able to do that. I'm like, how many things have we said that about? How many things?
If we're ever going to get time travel, we've always had time travel.
If we're ever going to
Well,
get
yeah.
time travel, Scott's worked on those machines.
Interesting story. So, about 5 years ago in Cambodia, I was working on time
Exactly. I
travel.
was working on the latest time travel device.
But it wasn't when I was an electrician.
No.
I stick and poked from the future to the past.
I made instant tattoos.
Yeah, instantly.
But yeah,
Painless.
no, I think that time travel is it's totally inspired by how we wish we could change things about ourselves, and we know that as we get older, it gets harder to do that. So
Well,
when you go back to a
everyone's-
point where we're younger and make some changes based on what we learned while we were older, right?
We've all wondered, what if I could redo this one thing?
Because
Or
most of
change
what we
this?
haven't
most
wondered
of
that.
what we create outward,
To be honest. Like, I don't know why, but I've never really wondered that.
what's that?
Redoing things.
I don't think I would change anything right now, but if you gave me the technology to do it, I may be persuaded.
But it's more like if you made a dumb decision on Wednesday, on Thursday, you're sitting there going, man, if I had a redo
Have you?
button-
Yeah. Have you ever
Okay.
gone?
I would
Oh man,
redo
I
what
want
I
to
did
redo it
yesterday."
this week. Holy
Okay.
shit, did I
I
fumble
guess,
it?
Exactly.
I guess so. Like, in terms of like short-term thinking, like, yeah, sure. But in terms of long-term thinking, I don't know.
Well,
Not
you would
long-term.
be the same person if you wrote
That's the
any
problem.
big event.
If you changed one thing from 10 years ago,
Yeah.
you're going to be in a different place now.
All of a sudden, we're not talking to Scott. We're talking to Eddie.
But that's
right.
You know
also,
what I mean?
That's also
Big
what
time.
I've seen with the idea of even if you go back a day and you change it, the effect of that is entirely different, and you'll never have known what you would have been if you didn't do that change.
Well, it's amazing
on-
how much we underappreciate every little day.
yeah,
That's right.
So, like, say today, Kevin goes home and he's normal to his wife. Say today he goes
hope
home. No, but
hope
say
I'm
today
normal.
you go home, you had a bad day at work, and
Gotcha.
you're an absolute ass. That starts a chain that
I've
if
done
you
that.
continue that 5 days in a row, 5 regular days in a row, maybe you guys are headed for divorce somehow. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying, like, we go, oh, short term
I'm usually
thinking.
pretty normal.
So, like, one day you
And I don't
reset.
even have a job right now, so whatever.
But like, if you reset that one first day that you started that negative chain, then that negative chain maybe never happens.
Also, we have different perception on the level of control we want. When we look at right now and say, okay, I'm pretty okay with where I'm at right now. I don't want to change anything over the past, 10, 25, whatever, how many years. But we all did something yesterday where we're like, we could do that a little bit differently. And we have a different perception on the amount of control we want to have in the short term
But
versus the long term.
We can only control for what we put in.
Yeah.
We can't control for what we get out of it.
That's right.
So
also think
what
that-
we do it perfectly, and it goes even worse than it did when we did it less perfect.
I also think our hindsight is idyllic.
Oh, for sure.
That's true, but some hindsight is a little more computational. Here's an example. I when I started working 2 jobs, so I was doing my tattoo. I was doing my tattoo apprenticeship and my electrical job at the same time. Right,
Sorry,
this
I
is 2 years
shouldn't
ago.
laugh.
You
I-
should.
I'd made 20 grand in pot stocks before that.
Okay.
So I'd come up to 20 grand and basically sold everything off as far as volatile holdings. But then I had 2 jobs. I was working 60, 70, 80 hours a week, depending on my week. So I'd bought a bunch of other stocks, not really paid attention. And over like a 6 or 7 month period, they'd all kind of crashed. And while I was just too busy to even pay attention to it,
Yeah.
and that entire 20 grand I had made on pot stocks, I lost on other bullshit that if I had taken the time and attention, I would have like saw the red flags and sold them long before that period.
Yeah.
So I would, if I had a redo button, I'd say, okay, go back and January
See-
2019, sell everything.
Well, I mean, it's
get rid
like,
of all of it and
it's like
hold
saying,
that money.
"Oh, I want to go back and buy Bitcoin at the right time." Or,
Exactly.
Apple
Yeah.
stock
Okay.
or
So we
whatever.
on a
Sell
financial level.
Blockbuster before they.
Yeah, so suddenly we have a thing that we would all use a time machine for.
That's why I'm saying it's idyllic.
Yeah.
But also, like when you said earlier that you don't think that there's any point that you go back and you change things.
There's little
You
things
say
like that,
that
I would
right
totally
now,
change.
but you put a time machine in front of us, we might start thinking about it.
Well,
Yeah.
no, I and for the selfish purpose of increasing one's wealth. Sure, everybody's gonna like look at that, but like that comes with its own issues.
Sure does.
You know what I mean? And it's not like you can go back to that point,
Well, if I went back to
buy
January,
that stuff, and then
Yep.
have exactly what you have right now. Like, you know, there's also the possibility that if you went back and you bought Bitcoin at an early time, you accidentally got hit by a bus at this point.
Or I would have given up on tattooing when it got difficult
Exactly.
and not stuck to it.
Yeah.
I've had
Fully
people
possible.
ask me if I would go back to not having any tattoos, like today. Like if like I woke up tomorrow and I had no tattoos, like, oh my God, where'd my tattoos go? Would you do it all again? And that,
Oh my
that's a
goodness.
really hard question to answer. Like starting from zero again.
What would you do?
Would you start like so? There's a difference between starting from zero at the age that you were
Right.
and the age that you are now.
Oh yeah, but you don't get those years back.
Yeah.
You just have a blank canvas.
Yeah.
And the answer isn't as easy as I'd like it to be.
Would all the money that you spent on tattoos and all the time you spent getting tattoos suddenly be given to you?
Well, that's not answered for.
Not really.
Right.
It
You're
would've
not
been
getting that
blowing on
time back.
bullshit.
You might get the money back, but you're not getting that time back.
No, you sure aren't.
And the money's never been, well, not to say it's never been, because it was when I was younger, but these days that's not the primary concern for me.
Right.
It's just about the time and the effort. And it's a lot of effort.
Well, I mean, like
it's a
if
life.
you really wanted to, we could start lasering you right now.
Oh, wow.
no.
And
We
can see what this
we'll
is
be
like.
done in 30 years.
Yeah, 100%.
30 years of
30
getting
years, we can
lasered.
get you back to regular skin, and then you can
Not
decide
really.
whether. Nope, it'll be fully scarred skin.
It's
You'll-
already fully scarred.
It's kind of blotchy.
Yeah, it'll look
Kind
pretty
of-
bad, but you know, hey, then you can start over.
You look like you have some terrible skin disease.
I feel like I'm kind of starting over a little bit anyway.
Yeah.
The more I've thought about,
Well, you have
Recently.
like 2 tattoos now.
I have 2 tattoos.
Yeah.
And this one, I was worried about, I was going to lose a bit of the black line, but it's starting to kind of come back.
It's
just
looking
really
good.
shiny. But like, it's weird. Watching these has been weird. These have been some of the weirdest tattoos I've ever gotten. Having
Interesting.
tattoos over blackouts is very strange.
Fun. Here's a fun time machine relevant one.
Oh, I love that.
If I had a time machine right now, maybe I'd go back and buy a house 2 weeks sooner. Because I finally like got my crap together again, got it all figured out. All I got the mortgage stuff all figured out, and now I have a month off work.
Yep.
Which does not work for mortgage lenders.
No, they don't give you
No,
money.
so
I know,
I
that's what
now-
I'm in right now.
I now do not
I get to
qualify.
hang out for a month at least.
Yeah.
Because like I had this guy message me being like, "Hey, this thing came available. You want to go see it?" I was like, "In a month."
Yeah, 2 weeks ago I
As soon
qualified.
as I
Now
show
don't.
up
Let's
as
hope it's a
having a
month.
job.
Yeah.
I
That'd be
don't
great.
think it's going to be a month. We want to think it's going to be a month. I think it's going to be like 8 weeks.
I
Okay,
don't
do we
know.
put
I'm
money on
preparing
this?
for the long haul.
Do we put money on this? Who wants to guess a date?
I'll
Who
put
wants to
money
do
on
I'm
this
not putting money on
horrible
it.
idea?
Who
of a
has
bet?
money to put on?
Nobody.
So okay,
I'll tell you what. I'll put my nicest cow on it. We're gonna go back to the barter system if the economy gets much worse.
Okay.
So.
Okay, sounds good.
Well, like
I could go for a cow.
let's do a $10 bet or $20 bet on it. Why not?
Okay.
It can be a $10 or $20 each pool, and the person closest wins.
I just think that's I'm gonna be very like I only have 2 switches in this, which is hopeful and pessimistic. I only really have the 2.
See,
I'm
my
not a
ho-
middle ground guy.
It's
My-
4 or 8 weeks.
my hopeful is 6 to 8 weeks, but what I think is going to happen is 4. I think 4
well,
weeks we're back in.
He stated 4.
Yep,
4, and we'll see.
The last time they stated anything,
was 3 weeks, and in 2 he was
Yeah,
changing back.
exactly.
Yep.
Things got worse after 2,
Yeah.
well,
or
so-
better, depending on what you see it.
Yeah.
So I think his main goal is to get us through the Christmas thing.
It's going to
Which-
get worse after Christmas, Kevin.
yeah.
Yes.
Obviously.
So therefore, I assume that he can't lift restrictions as cases go
But
up.
his constituents will not deal well with him extending the lockdown.
Dude, his constituents, like
His constituents will all be together for Christmas.
already, that he has failed them. Remember, like
Yes,
just in terms
yes.
of putting this into place.
I don't know how he could have done done this any good way. I really
No.
don't.
Oh, I would have done it
Oh,
earlier.
it's an unenviable position for sure.
I would have done
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
I would've
This is
done
what I
it
said
earlier.
about people are like, oh, Trump mishandled COVID so bad. I'm like,
Yeah.
anyone mishandled
That was my-
COVID.
that was
Who
my-
knows what to do with this?
Dude,
That's one of my
nobody's
biggest
prepared for a
issues.
second
Who
wave.
the hell knows what to do with
why
this?
Why has no country has prepared for a second
This
wave?
is a
From
death
day
sentence
one.
From
for
day one,
any
they were talking
politician.
about
it was a first wave.
Anyone
Yeah.
in office this year failed.
Everyone.
Yeah,
Every
everyone.
single person.
Like, no
you know
one
the only
does
one that
well.
didn't seem to fail? Sweden. Because
Yeah.
they were like, you know what? Bring it on. Whatever. I don't care. Deaths are going to happen.
Oh no, they locked down.
No, they haven't. No, they're only locking down. They're only locking down.
staying out of this one 'cause I don't know.
of like
What?
people that are in old age homes. But in terms of actual business is open, and it's
Huh.
been
All I
open.
know is if you were in office when this hit, everyone hates you.
Yes.
I just
You were
disliked.
there to be
Because even
hated.
if you do the other even if you go the Sweden route, every death is not good. Every death is like you did wrong.
And then for Jason Kenney, like, and I'm not saying, oh, I'm a fan of this guy, but like it's when he wasn't for shutting down, they hated him.
Yep.
Now he's shut down, they hate him
again.
They hate him for shutting down, and then
Yep.
they hate him for shutting down
Because
too
no
late.
matter what you do, you didn't solve it. It's a
No.
Kobayashi Maru, man.
Yeah.
Like
you can't
there's
win.
no way around because you can't get rid of the virus.
Yeah.
Unless someone was able to flick the magic switch and make it so this thing stops somehow. Because nobody's being honest about it. Nobody's being like, "Hey, this thing's here. You need to get used to the idea that it's here.
Yeah, we're
Nothing
living
that
with
we
it
say
now.
or do is going to take this off of our radar
COVID is
for
a
the
lifestyle.
next 2 years."
At least 2 years. Yeah.
Like even with the vaccinations as they roll out, it's going to
That's what
take
I keep
forever.
saying. Sarah's like, I hope these vaccines really help them. Like the first wave are going to be almost non-helpful at all. I
but
think.
it might help with deaths.
Yeah.
Because if you're able to vaccine the elderly population,
What I'm
and you're
hoping
getting
is
to save
just
lives, then all of
having-
a sudden that might make it so stuff kind of returns to
Well, what I'm
normal a
hoping
bit.
with the vaccines is just having them there is at least some peace of mind for some people where it's like,
Yeah.
okay, now we can begin to relax
Yeah.
a little.
There's
And-
a little
and
bit
that-
of safety feeling.
And if the healthcare workers can have a successful vaccine,
Yeah.
then hey, there's a chance we can work on this thing without losing our healthcare system.
or without our doctors dying.
That would be great.
Yeah.
That'd be huge.
Because in Italy, like they've had 225 doctors die.
Oof.
Like that's
Okay,
a lot.
ready for some
That is
snippets?
Do
a
it.
lot.
The country, hailed by lockdown skeptics, has suffered one of the worst second waves in Europe. The tone was solemn, the message stark. Don't go to the gym. Don't go
I
to the
love the
library.
phrasing.
Don't have dinners. Don't have parties.
They locked down.
Cancel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta. Like it's altruistic to be like, oh, we don't lock down.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, because they have no other weapon.
Yeah.
Like what else do you do?
Yeah.
And you gotta feel like
Well,
you're doing something.
But here's the problem. So like the issue in Alberta right now is buy-in. When Jason Kenney's been feeding the conspiracy folk for so long, now that the cases are crazy, how does he get buy-in from the deniers? How does he get buy-in from the big families in multiple households who are going to get together for Christmas with 30 people on their big ranch?
so
Yeah, you're gonna have that like
It's
all
going to
over
happen.
the place.
But so how
Super
how-
spreaders everywhere.
So how do you contradict that? You can't shut that down.
so here's the
And
problem.
if you show up in their property and hand them a ticket for doing that, will your buy-in value? You've lost all of it. You no longer have buy-in. Those people now hate you instead.
So it's really hard, I think, when we've, especially when the deaths are so specific to an age range or a comorbidity that, like we have, when it comes to like groupthink things, we have the ultimate narcissist,
That's right.
right? So you're going to think one of two ways. You're going to think me as whatever the statistic is, that's the 0.5%, that's me. Or you're going to think the 99.5%, that's me. So we've given people the ability to define themselves within that bracket. And so you're going to get people that are going to be like, well, because I look at this room and I think 99.5.
Oh yeah, we're probably not going to die from it.
Like no, not even probably not. Almost will not. With almost pure certainty, unless one of us accidentally has a failing heart that we don't know about, we're probably good.
More likely that the three of us become suicide statistics than
It's
COVID
far more
statistics.
likely.
Yeah, far
Like,
more likely.
Far more likely.
Based on all kinds of things, honestly.
Yep. Yep.
We're all the right demographic for it.
Well, just depression in general. Depression in general has a way higher lethality than COVID, especially in our demographic. Our demographic is the,
our
the
demographic
key
is the
kill
key
themselves thing.
Kill
Yeah,
themselves. White 30 to 50-year-old
Yeah.
men.
Because after you hit 27, all of a sudden you start recognizing that the upward slope
27
that you
is
have is now a downward
it's the
slope.
peak for greatness. They say if you haven't become great by 27, you never will
And
be.
you have to
Yeah.
swim just as hard.
Yep. Oh yeah. And not to mention you gotta all
Yeah.
the way to the end of it.
That's right. You gotta just keep pushing.
But so like if I were to look at this and I were to try and make decisions for just this room, I would say we have a far greater chance of dying due to depression than we do from COVID. We should do everything that we can to not be depressed, right? So when you're dealing with a populace, that a majority of the populace is going to be in that grouping. So to try and convince everybody that's in that grouping to think of people that are strictly outside of that grouping or the other in
Yeah.
that respect, that's always going to be really tough. You're dealing with
Especially
mostly
when
people
it-
that are super high
We're
empathy.
getting really good at
So now-
othering again, too.
Can I devil's advocate that?
100%. I'm just looking
So-
at group psychology.
Oh no, of course. And the psychology is great. But now imagine, so now again, this goes back to some idealism for sure. Now imagine a world where the buy-in wasn't, you should be scared, so buy into this lockdown. What if the buy-in was, hey, we're all going to work together to protect our vulnerable people. So now you're not wearing that mask for you, you're wearing it for
It's hard to
Kevin's-
sell, though.
But that's exactly
It
what
is-
I said. I
it is
said
hard to
high
sell.
empathy people.
It's hard to sell we're working together by never seeing each other and not doing anything together.
But does it take that much empathy
Yes.
to play your role in the pandemic? Because here's the,
Yeah,
here's
it
the
does.
issue.
Yes.
But here's
Yeah.
the issue. If you know, hey, if I and everyone else gets their shit together for a month, we can stop this thing.
People can't
literally
see past a day.
But a month would stop it.
It wouldn't stop it.
Yeah.
Nope. No one has ever said that that would stop it.
What if
Since this came out, because it is an
no,
airborne
but
virus,
by stop
and
it,
the
I
way
don't
that
mean
it
0 cases. I'm saying curb it enough to go back to normal life.
Oh, again, you don't have to sell me on it.
Yeah, yeah.
I think back in November we should have done a really hard 2-week
I'm just saying
lockdown.
it's some antisocial ass behavior when you're like, well, this doesn't affect me, so I'm just going to keep living my life, which then drags the whole thing out way longer, and the damage to the economy is twice as bad because now you're having multiple lockdowns and longer lockdowns instead of small circuit breaker
But
lockdowns.
those are justifications to the people that don't see themselves with.
I
or
could have been
anyone
for the circuit breaker 2 weeks, November. Everyone gets 2 weeks off.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not pick and choose.
Nah, send
Not for some reason my 3 brothers are working
Send
and
the
they're all
construction people fucking
non-essential.
home.
Yep.
Construction sites aren't even wearing masks.
Maybe the people
There's
who
just
are
course not.
40 dudes
But to
breathing
be
on
fair,
each other.
if they're outdoors in sunlight, they shouldn't be wearing
no,
masks.
construction mostly happens indoors.
I know, I'm saying,
Yeah.
but if they're outdoors in sunlight, they shouldn't.
But like we need to be less picky about who we decide is fine and who isn't.
Yes.
Like the mall. You were just talking about the mall.
Dude, it's insane.
Why is that a thing?
Oh, dude.
Shut that shit down.
That's crazy.
It's got way more people in it than will ever be in my restaurant, for example.
Well, okay,
There's
so
a maximum of 9 people in this building at any time. Yet the mall will have 400 people in it.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
Sitting
the
in a
mall
food
is
court with their masks
meat
on.
You know what's
market.
really weird
I
is
went to
that-
London Drugs the other day, and it was crawling with
Yeah.
people. Crawling.
So they're supposed to be counting, and it's supposed to be 15% of your occupancy.
Oh, no.
Do you have any idea the number of people that are allowed to be in
Yeah.
Park Place Mall
Oh,
for
goodness.
their occupancy? Even 15% of that is insane numbers.
Yeah.
But this is what I'm saying. Like, I never thought that Kenny would have the balls to do a hard lockdown, and he didn't. And now we're getting this thing, which
Isn't
I can
going to
still
do anything.
go to the mall.
It's not going to do anything.
No, it really won't.
Because
And-
everyone's still doing Christmas.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
everyone,
Oh, yeah.
sorry. People in my demographic aren't, because I have a
Well-
lot of liberal friends who are going to have a lot of
I'll tell you
Zoom
what. I'm
Skype
going to
crap.
say 75% of people are going to do Christmas this year.
That's what I'm saying.
At least.
In Alberta.
When I said it last time, and you were, I'm not doing Christmas. I'm like, yeah, because you're a reasonable human being, and you're assuming that everyone else is.
I'm assuming that things will get worse.
Oh, of course they will.
And if things are getting worse, I have a hard time justifying doing things that are leisurely.
And we can do our freaking part. You
Yep.
know? Some of us can do our part.
But so this is what I'm trying to say. I'm just saying that like the way that this is structured and the way that it's marketed, it appeals to people's narcissism. So you're putting yourself either like So like with the way that Rowan looks at this,
Yeah.
it's pure empathy.
That's well,
'Cause she sees it in-
there's a narcissism as well. Her largest concern, because she's not in a kill zone demographic, her largest concern is COVID cases rise, ICUs are full, hospitals are a bit overrun. She gets in a car accident, her kid is on death's doorstep, not getting the care they need.
Yes, and
That's her
That's
biggest
a
concern.
long, winding path.
so
though.
that's
Yes,
even less than
but
0.5%.
how do you tell a worried mother that
No,
her
I agree.
concerns
It
are
can happen.
unstatistical?
I'm not telling you that. Like, I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just saying that a lot of people can't see past 5 minutes.
Oh yeah,
This
of
is where
course, of
I'm
course.
not. I'm not thinking people don't care. I'm thinking people cannot do that.
Yeah.
That's right.
They're so distracted and busy by their daily life that they can't see 5 feet in front of them. This is why people live paycheck to paycheck
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Right. We can't plan ahead. Most people cannot plan ahead. It's not mean to say that. It's what I've learned dealing with people.
Yeah.
It's like these people cannot see ahead of them.
which we're seeing going into this. You start seeing how few people have rainy day funds.
Having
Yeah.
a rainy
Dude.
day
Yeah.
fund is easy and hard.
Yeah.
So like it's really easy to fuck up your finances to a point where you can't do that.
Like ever.
Yes and no.
But
I
if
will
you're-
say though, if Joe Average, who doesn't think that it's possible, just simply goes into their bank
Oh, I
and
know.
talks to someone, they can set you up with a way of getting passive income that you can't
But
see.
Joe Average isn't going to do that.
I know.
Joe Average is going to go to the
gas.
gas station and buy 3 bags of chips and
What-
2 jugs of cola, go home and be the night man, and then wake up
Nightman's back in.
and have
saying-
no money the next
I'm saying
day.
that in our society, everyone should see it as unacceptable to live any way but have that rainy day fund, especially when we have options like what you're talking about, where even if you're living past your means, $50 a paycheck should be going to a separate account.
Yeah.
And you
No.
should be trying to adjust for the new.
This is where
budget.
I'm always just going to say the same things. People do not think ahead.
Yeah.
They
Well,
so
do
this
not.
is-
Most people are going to rent their house for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
And they're just going to be riding the bottom line forever. And if they fall, that's it.
Yep.
They're broke.
Yep.
So how? And this is, I think one of the reasons that I'm on the psychedelics train, because I just want people to try and start seeing outside of themselves a little bit. Because if we had the ability to turn off our little narcissism bubble and say, oh, this isn't me because I'm in this 99.5, we'd be able to maybe look at the situation and go like, hey, as a whole, let's do this. But then
Yeah.
all of a sudden we'd have situations where we're looking after people that need looking after.
Oh.
And we would have a better society. And
Crazy.
And this is one of those things that like our society is only based on this individualistic consumption thing.
Yep.
Which when I look at it, I'm like, okay, well then we don't get to do this.
It's gross.
We don't get to have a solution to big problems like this because everything is inhibiting our individualistic bubble, and us comes first.
That's right.
But I don't think that that's done by accident.
When wearing a mask to protect Nana is a fucking personal like human rights issue, we've gone too far. Like
Yeah.
society has failed.
Yeah, but I mean, so I think for a long time.
Can you imagine if it was socks? Like,
Yeah.
imagine we never wore socks, and it was like,
And
you
now
have to wear these socks or else you can't go out.
Human rights. You
Well,
can't tell me to wear
Is
socks.
it just the article of clothing edition?
no? It's being
No, it's
told
any
what to do.
change.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what I mean. Like, is it just
It's,
we're
I
telling
don't
you
feel
you
in
have to
control.
do this?
Someone says I have to wear this
because
piece
some
of
people,
thing.
because then
They
people try and
protested seatbelts
justify it,
forever.
right?
Yeah,
Oh, they've got
exactly.
Seatbelts
microchips.
take more lives than
Yeah.
they save was a thing
Yeah.
forever. And it'll be the same for driverless cars, even though the information will be out there and it'll be
Yeah.
like, oh, wow, it's only 0.01%. Well, that 0.01%
Well,
killed that
theory
one
is
lady
that
in the one.
masks aren't probably going to go away. I think masks
No.
are going to stay now.
And I think the people who
We're just getting
are
we're in a
protesting against
frustrating in
masks
between
now will be embarrassed.
because they may
for having
go away
protested
after
it.
COVID for a minute.
Yep.
But they're coming back again.
Oh, they're going to be around now. Plus,
Um,
hey, what about a culture where if you're sick, the response? No, what's the empathetic, the kind, the socially intelligent thing to do is wear a mask. Does that make sense?
Well, I think what we need to adapt for and evolve for is the fact that we're losing emotional connectivity.
Yep.
It's like if you don't see someone smiling when you're talking to them, or the laugh or the crease that their mouth makes when they say a certain thing, you won't know their inflection on it. Like I can be like, "Hey Scott, you fucker," or I can be, "Hey Scott, you fucker." You know what I mean? And it takes on a different. But some of that is physical. Some of that is you see how I'm talking. You see the smile, right? You see my eyes. Things like that. We're losing some of those cues when we put the mask on. So we're going to need to get a little bit better at understanding nuance.
Of course.
Same reason why text is a bad way to have a real conversation.
Oh, goodness.
So I feel like intimate conversations or even just basic conversations are going to suffer a loss of understanding as we adapt masks more full time.
Yeah.
Like I really feel like we're going to lose a lot of those cues. Because like even when you're at Walmart or something, it feels like everyone is a villain in a way, right? Like because everybody's just trying to stay away from one another.
I've had a few friends express that sentiment to me. When I don't see everyone as a villain, unless they're one of those.
I
like,
don't particularly care.
masked people.
I like. I
Then-
will say
then they're a villain.
inherently, you start to see behaviors of averting gazes, more aggression. Like I'm driving right now, people are way more aggressive, which is really weird. I don't know why that's a weird byproduct of this. But in terms of because what this all does is it makes it so that everybody else is else.
Yeah.
Like
I was saying it must be the worst time ever to date.
oh, it's
Can you
gotta be-
imagine
Well,
trying to date right now?
Dude.
I don't think dating is dating anymore.
No.
Like now with like this whole hookup culture and like the safety behind text messages and things like that, like you have two different types of encounters. I think there's a rarity. I mean, maybe we should interview someone that's single right now and just see what it's
I
like.
know Dave is like rabid.
Oh, dude, I can't even imagine. Actually, we should get him on here.
I've been saying that forever, but he keeps. I don't want to wait till I'm in better shape again and all that crap.
He wants his arms to be bigger on camera. Is that the
I don't know
idea?
I don't know what he's waiting for. I think he's just worried about the process. But you get him on here and we'll have him opened up in 5 minutes.
Oh, dude.
He'll be like shouting over everyone within
Yes.
the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
No one will be able to get a word in edgewise. We'll
I
just be
just-
sitting here staring at him until he stops, and then we'll jab in.
I just think like there's a lot of issues that come with the way that we're built. So now I will take it to the other side of this. So the flu, we've never done anything like this.
No,
Why?
because it's not as transmittable.
Yes and no. It's been consistently killing people
Yep.
for years. And we've never taken a look at that. We've never had
My
a
original,
death toll
has it-
count.
my
has
original
it
answer
ever-
for this was that maybe there's something worse about COVID than they're letting us know.
Has it overrun a hospital?
At times it can, yeah.
Has it pulled in Italy? Has it pulled in New York?
No, I'm not saying that this isn't different. What I'm saying is our approach to this is new.
Because
yeah.
things like New York happens when suddenly hospitals are overrun and there's freezer trucks full of bodies.
Yes,
That's a big difference.
But it
I'm
is new.
saying-
Well, we've never done this before.
Yeah.
I'm saying in the U.S. alone, 30,000 people die every year
Yep.
from the flu.
And this year, 200,000 people have died from COVID.
Yeah. Well,
I mean-
arguably.
Yes.
6% of that have died from COVID. That's the other tricky thing about this because
6% seems like a pretty wild number here.
so when
Where are
the
you getting
flu,
6%?
that's the CDC.
Is it?
Yeah. So
Okay.
only 6% of cases die strictly from COVID. There's then there's no comorbidity factor, but that could be obesity. Obesity is a comorbidity
or,
factor.
Other problems
right.
underlying.
Diabetes.
But that's like-
even having the flu would be a
But how
comorbidity
many
factor.
people in North America have those comorbidities?
And
you know?
how many of them, when you have the flu in the wintertime, are also with those comorbidities?
Exactly.
But they don't report them the same.
No.
So we're talking flu-related deaths.
I guess what I'm saying is that of the 200,000, I think a lot more than 6% are from COVID. I guess what I'm saying is
that are just COVID only.
Yeah,
so
but
that
no,
means
I'm
like
saying
that
if-
means like
but
you
even if
as
you
a
have diabetes
Yep.
and COVID kills you, or sorry, if you have diabetes and because you have diabetes, COVID kills you. Diabetes didn't kill you. COVID definitely killed you.
I'm not saying anything
I guess what I'm
other
saying
than
is that number of people is way bigger than 6%.
Sure.
I'm saying that using those
course, it
statistics
has
is
to be.
very misleading.
No, but what I'm saying is COVID by itself is not the thing to be worried about. Mm-hmm. Because if all of a sudden you took all those people and you were we had a better healthcare system and those comorbidity factors could be lessened, the lethality of COVID would be less.
We talked about this before. People are in better shape mentally and physically.
Yeah.
We'd have less death from COVID.
Oh, for sure.
That's
For
all I'm
sure.
saying. I'm not
Yeah.
trying to say like COVID doesn't kill people. Of course it fucking does. But what I'm saying is like it's not the thing that is super lethal.
Well,
it
it's
is the
interesting
thing
is
with the other things.
If you just Google, and you can even Google World Health Organization if you want, but any death clock on Google will show you COVID is like number 22,
Yeah.
world's biggest killer.
Heart disease is the big one.
Oh,
Right?
it's not even close.
Yeah.
I think heart disease is like 35 times the death rate of COVID.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even
and,
this year.
Yeah, and
Oh,
that's even
yeah.
with COVID contributing to it, like because if you have
And
heart disease
suicide
and you get
is like
COVID,
3 times more likely to kill you than COVID.
Yeah.
This year.
oh yeah, easily.
But,
But
like-
if you have heart disease and you get COVID and you die, that's death from COVID. So that actually takes away from the heart disease number.
Yeah,
Which is crazy.
It's just it is.
Yeah, but you didn't die from heart disease.
It is
Well, you did.
strange when you consider how
did.
many deaths come from other
So
things, and we're
he-
not talking about any of
Here's the
them.
thing.
Yeah. It's a
If you-
comorbidity,
if you
so you
have-
died from both.
If you have heart disease
Mm-hmm.
and you would have died on Friday, but you got COVID and you died on Tuesday instead,
Yes,
you died from COVID.
you died from both.
No, you died from COVID.
No, because if you didn't, that's a terrible way of looking at it. That's a terrible way of looking at it. That's because that
Okay,
doesn't. That's
so-
the
so
whole
now-
idea of comorbidity.
Okay, so new plan.
comorbidity. It's the
so
word.
what if you would have died from heart disease
Yeah.
in 2032?
Yeah, you're still gonna die from heart disease.
No, you died from COVID because you died on Tuesday.
Dude, you're just talking about statistics. Comorbidities. It's in the word.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
contributing factors to your death.
Uh-huh.
If you didn't have either, you wouldn't be dead. You needed both to kill you. That's
That's
a comorbidity.
right.
So
You
if
have
you
lived for
just had
12 more
COVID
years.
without it, then you wouldn't have died.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Why do you think I'm saying something different? COVID and heart disease killed you. Because if you didn't have the heart disease, COVID wouldn't have killed you.
Which is why we need to slow down COVID.
Which is also why we need to slow down everything. 100%.
Okay.
You're not like, I feel like you think that I'm saying something different than I am. I'm saying
You
that
guys are
both
having the
bad.
conversation right now I expected you to have last week, where
But,
I
like,
said
I think
we
I feel
should
like
wait.
you're saying that I think that COVID isn't a bad thing.
I'm just saying it's misleading wording.
No.
No,
I'm saying
say that
exactly how it's
COVID
worded.
didn't
You know what
kill
I
that
think?
man.
I think that Kevin is a right-wing operative.
There we go. That's it.
He's been sent here for all these
Trump
podcasts
2024.
to slowly try and peel away
I'm simply-
150
I'm
people
simply
who watch
talking
this
about it.
podcast
I'm
to the
simply
right.
talking about it the way that the CDC talks about it.
That's right.
And the way
Next
that
week-
CDC talks about it is that if you have no comorbidities,
Sure.
the death rate from COVID is 6% of what the deaths are total.
Right.
I'm
But
saying next
comorbidities,
week,
which are like, that's like saying you got hit by a car and shot. Those are two comorbidities.
That's right.
If you took one of them away, maybe you didn't die from just the car, maybe you didn't die from just the bullets, but you got both, you died.
next week, Kevin's wearing a MAGA hat. That's all
Yeah,
I'm
exactly. Mega toque. I'm just saying that like we have a bigger problem than just COVID.
saying. Of course.
And we need to be able to address it on all fronts. Because if you didn't have those contributing factors, your chances of dying from it are less.
I think the reason why North America is so worried about COVID in particular is
Because we're
because
so fat.
we're so fat
We're so fat.
and so mentally unwell too.
Yeah.
Because if we were fat and very, very happy,
Yeah.
we would stand a better chance too.
Yeah.
If we were very, very fit, we would stand a better chance. We
Even
are
if
in
we-
terrible health all
Yeah.
around.
Even
So
if we
a
just
thing like
understood
COVID
the-
will kill a good number of us.
Even if we just understood more of how the body works,
Yeah.
in terms like the idea of vitamin D becoming this like big, whoa, I can't believe
You can't
that happened.
teach that now, though. We needed to teach that to people when they were young. And
Yes.
that's what I always say. Like, once we're 30, 40 years old, we don't care about that, and we don't have time for it.
No.
You talk to a average Joe working an average job, he's just going to talk shit about his coworkers
Yeah.
and about his bills and about his dinner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's not concerned with greater problems facing the world.
No. Well, it's like a narrow window, right?
Well, it has to be to survive generally. Like when you only have so many resources, you need to focus them on the things that are immediately taxing you.
Yeah.
And so you can't think of this greater world picture we're talking about here.
Yep.
It's like, and then COVID becomes, oh, what do I care about COVID? My bills are coming out tomorrow. I can't care about this shit.
Right.
I don't have money for rent. You're asking me to care about saving this guy I don't even know?
Yeah.
I can't even save my own fucking life. This is what individually is happening to almost everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone's in bad financial health, mental health, emotional state is frayed, and we're probably a little overweight.
And let's be honest about our Homo sapiens mind. Our survival is going to come above group survival.
This is
Yeah,
what I
push
was saying
comes
about
to
the
shove.
recycling
Yeah.
problem,
It's not
too.
a good thing.
When we were
No,
talking about
it's really
glass
not.
bottles and saving the
Yeah.
world, it's the same thing. Joe Blow doesn't have time to care about that.
Yeah.
Maybe he does, but he can't get there because
Yeah.
he's so focused on what's at
Yeah.
his door.
Well, Joe Blow's not going to do that until it's financially beneficial to do that.
Yeah, you have to make it worth his time.
He's going to keep saving 10 cents at a time.
Yeah.
Until this is actually cheaper.
You
for
need
whatever
to
reason.
find
Yeah.
a way to make it not inconvenience the general populace at all to do it.
Which is such a pain
Which
in
is
the butt.
when you're seeing that though.
Yeah.
We're being punched in the face with that right now when we
Yeah.
ask people to wear a mask, and it's like, oh my god, look at the issue we've had just getting people to wear a mask.
It seems absurd.
It is absurd because even if you don't agree with them, it takes no effort to just put one
Even
on.
if lethality is super low, even with comorbidities, even with
If
all these
all
considerations,
it's going to do
It's
is
still all
make
there. A
a
everyone.
mask is so damn easy.
Yeah.
If it's just going to make
It
everyone
really
feel
is.
better, right?
So easy.
Yeah. I know.
If you tell me you put this mask on, why? Because it'll make people feel better.
Yeah.
That's all it takes.
Yeah.
That's all it should take.
That's it.
But it is this hard. You still have people protesting.
Yeah.
In public places.
I will
in
not make
large
other people
numbers.
feel safer.
Yeah.
I would never want to make other people
So
feel safer.
here we
My
have
rights
people
come way
going
more
out of
important.
their way to go against
Yeah.
something that would be such an
Why I say
easy
it's
thing to do.
Antisocial behavior.
Well,
it's
the-
destruction of the common rapport.
And this
Oh,
is why
totally.
we can't save the world with glass bottles.
there we go.
Because we would have people actively smashing them in public.
Was this whole point just to tell me my idea of
No,
shit?
I'm saying that this is where I'm always coming from is that no, like what we're not getting here is that people will not do anything extra to help. You have to make it so easy that they don't even have to think about
You
it.
have to make the good thing actually
Good.
easier for them.
You have to make
Yeah,
the good thing
that's fair.
easier for them, or they're
Convenience
not
is
going to
huge.
do
Yeah.
it.
So here's a question, because like I think societally we've been getting better in that direction overall,
Oh yeah.
Policy.
and I think this kind
People
of
are
behavior
still
is a little,
as small and petty as ever, and maybe even worse.
but like I would say if you're going to go overall in terms of being cognizant and conscious of things, I think the younger generation seems to be talking that language better than say what we were when we were kids.
Oh yeah.
Like
Goodness.
talking to my nieces and nephews, they're very ahead of the curve when it comes to a lot of these things in terms of thinking and openness and
They don't
I-
have as many visceral reactions to things.
well, I think it's more common in their vernacular right now. And so what I'm wondering is like how many years do you think until this that type of thinking comes
We have to be
forward?
gone.
Depends how many of the old folks COVID kills off.
Fair.
Those guys are going to go anyway. The old folk, you're not saving Grandpa. I don't care what you do.
Well, even, like-
Grandpa's on his way out.
Even old folks homes,
But-
which I hate this statistic because like my grandpa's in an old folks home, but the average life expectancy of someone that's been checked into an old folks home is 18 months.
Sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, by the time
Incredible.
they're there, it's like they become too much trouble to deal with, which usually
well,
means
it's like if you get checked into palliative care.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
2 weeks,
fair.
right?
But that's like saying, oh, if you go on a respirator, you're more likely to die.
Yeah, 'cause you're at the end.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you're already so bad, you need a freaking respirator.
Yeah,
What
I'll
do
tell you
you
a
think?
story
Yeah,
about
what-
palliative
what's
care
the
while
idea?
You
we're
were
on it.
dying.
Yeah.
When my son's mother had cancer, she pancreas cancer, and she got checked into palliative care. Even the last time I seen her, and she weighed all of like 75 pounds, and her temples were sunken in, and she quite literally looked like a skeleton. She thought she was going to make it out of there. Like she was
Right.
not done. Like she was
Right.
like, oh, they got me on protein and they're doing calcium infusions and stuff, and like it was amazing to see someone dying and thinking, I will survive this, and there's good in the world.
Right.
And then you see people who are living healthy lives with pretty decent circumstances that are all doom and gloom.
Yeah. Fully,
I see a woman
fully depressed, fully anxious.
decaying in front of me well before her time, who's got almost nothing left to hope for.
She's staring death in the face while in pain and suffering, going,
and
nah.
in that last moment when I was talking to her, I had 10 minutes with her because that was all she could stay up to talk to me. We were having the hard conversation of what we should do for Ivan when she's gone, hand in hand with her resolve of, I'm going to make it out of this.
Yeah.
Wow.
And yet we have people who have the whole world in front of them, could do any little thing to enhance their situation, and they can't be bothered.
Yep.
Like, this is what we're facing.
Yeah.
Okay, people have no perspective, no perspective at all.
All I know is that you're gonna hate me for saying this because this is my bullshit version of libertarianism, but all I'm saying is that the next time it snows in this town, everyone who's bitching about being off work because they don't have money should be
We're all
out
gonna be
shoveling sidewalks,
Shoveling
for money.
sidewalks.
Like, we're in a capitalism, and you're not allowed to make money right now.
I'll tell you what,
unless you go make money.
We've had a few of those guys come to our door, and usually
Have you?
We've had a few people come to our
I'm
door with
ready.
shovels,
I'm also never home.
and sometimes it's like, are these guys going to try and break in? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know why our brains are wired to think that, like, you see a couple of people who don't look the best off, and they offer a service, and you're more worried about, well, what are they going to do?
That's pretty simple. That's survival.
It is, but it's sad too that
and
we think that way.
That's city life too.
Sure. Yeah.
Like you don't feel good about assuming those things, or you shouldn't.
I'm just saying, if you were in a tribe, and you had like a group, and then
Yeah.
someone from another tribe came over, the odds of them killing you back in the day were high.
But we're
And-
not back in the day.
I know.
And this is a
But our
perspective.
wiring's old.
Oh, I know. We are not built for the world
We're
living
also
in.
living
No.
in the city with the highest crime in the country.
Yeah, weird, right?
So
What's
I
that
mean,
about?
obviously, when someone walks up to our door with a shovel,
I'll
we're
tell you what
like,
it's about.
What the fuck are they up
Me
to?
driving to work on Friday afternoon, there's 4 guys having a standoff in front of the liquor store. Like, you see that shit all over the place in
goodness.
this city.
Well, I walk across downtown at least twice a day, right?
Yeah.
Because I walk.
It's
from
nuts
home
out
to here.
there.
Oh, it's crazy.
It's bedlam.
I make change so that I have pocket change to give to people. Because you know you're going to get asked every single day for pocket change.
I just tell them all the same
know
thing.
that even during a
All-
pandemic-
Hey, man, it's all cards now. You got to have cards. So
Yeah.
I'm waiting for them to start carrying debit machines.
Yeah.
Oh,
got
it's
my
okay,
Square.
man. I take Interact,
Yeah.
Visa, or debit. It's like, how the fuck do you have that thing? Seriously, you got to modernize this. No one's carrying cash anymore.
My
No.
Venmo is, I don't want to be too dystopian, but like, is there any chance that this changes? Like,
Which changes?
well, I mean,
Human nature?
I think that question will. Oh wait, what? Yeah, I guess what changes? I'll wait
well,
to hear.
I look at these situations, and a lot of things make me sad.
Like homeless people.
So homeless people, but that's also
Or
stemmed
pandemics.
from mental health.
These
yeah,
days,
for a lot of
homeless
it.
people isn't due to a lack of resources, I don't think.
That's my thing.
No, it's not.
I've had a shift in mind.
Mindset.
I've had a shift in mindset recently because for the longest time, like I grew up in the country, so my knee-jerk reaction is very get a job, you bum. Like I'm not proud of that. That's just where
That's
my
where you
reaction
grew up.
goes. Is not that I grew up in a literal environment this way, but the mindset where I grew up was you want food, you better work today.
Yeah, yeah.
That's kind of the mindset I grew up with in general.
Well, farming is a good practical application of that, right?
Exactly. So I grew up working on farms. I grew up shingling families' houses, whatever. Right. It was very much like no, we all work together. We between the two households, we needed to cut 8 cord of wood per year for the fire for wood stove for wood heat.
Yeah.
So it was very much like, no, we all pitch in, we all work together. But I'm having a shift in mindset recently where, no, we don't need to have a homeless population just drifting around town. As a society, as a rich, modern, industrialized nation, we have lots of resources to take care of the 0.01% wandering our streets. that 1 in 1,000, that 1 in 5,000 wandering our streets, we absolutely have the resources as a society to take care of them. And it's absurd that we aren't. The only reason we aren't is because we're scared as a society, as a government, as a municipality, that once we step up and offer certain services to the vulnerable, then we'll be indebted and owe more and more people those services. So it's fear holding us back from using those extra resources to take care of those people.
So I do agree, but
Yeah.
I think one of the issues that they run into is that it's not just like if the problem was better defined, they might have an easier time
Yeah,
understanding the
it's
solution.
how do you attack such a broad issue?
And you see that with COVID too, because it's like our solutions, we don't really have a lot. The real hope is that this vaccine helps.
Yeah.
But in terms of actually helping situations, it's
may
like,
not.
well, you're dealing with an airborne pathogen. Masks can lessen, but it's not going to stop it. Lockdowns can lessen, but it's not going to stop it because it's an airborne pathogen.
so how do you?
Before we leave
to
the
get to your
vagrant
point
population,
though? How do you?
But what
how
I'm
do you-
saying is, like, in that, we don't have a clear definition to the problem, so we don't have a clear
Right.
definition.
Yeah, what do you
for the
do? Do you
solution.
educate
I guess-
against it, or do you just pick these people up and put them somewhere, or what do you do?
The bigger
They
point,
used to,
the bigger
but that
point
was
I'm
not great.
making is
that doesn't help.
I'm changing my personal politics by intentionally recognizing something.
Yeah.
I'm recognizing that my personal politics lead me in one direction, when the reality is that as a society we have the resources,
No,
and we just
totally.
need to find a way to make it work.
But
I
it's definitely a war on multiple fronts.
Yeah.
Right? Like you can't just go, okay, we'll do this one thing and then
So-
it'll solve
Well, you
everything.
can't put
Speaking
up
of-
a high rise and expect that solves it.
Speaking of one thing that could work, I have a lot of friends who are very pro UBI. They're like super like, oh yeah, UBI, obviously a good plan.
Would one of them come on and talk to us about it? Because I would love to hear some of the pros of why they think that UBI is
Yeah.
Hey man, I'm not.
I
I'm
just-
not sold one way or the other, but I've talked about UBI for 10 years. I've been thinking
I'm
about
openly anti-UBI.
Yeah, I am.
But now,
like, I just
what,
think it's
what
a
if
bad
we
idea.
had a UBI type system where, hey, you've openly been on the street for 3 months. We've seen you here at the shelter. We've seen you here at the what's the soup place where they give you
Streets
free-
Alive?
Yeah, where they
Soup
give you a meal. Yeah, soup kitchen. That we've seen at the soup kitchen. We've seen at the shelter for 3 months straight. You need a hand. We can tell. We have a.
You'd have so many people trying to abuse that.
We have
Word would spread.
Here's access
You'd
to
have probably 1%.
here's access to some counseling, and here's 2 years of UBI.
Yeah.
But
It
those
wouldn't- it
people,
wouldn't be UBI, obviously.
those people would probably spend that money poorly.
So it's us trying. It's us using our extra resources to try.
So
now they can go get an apartment.
Well, we need
So we've
to.
done that.
yeah.
We've done that, and it's now viewed very negatively. The indigenous population, that was what we thought was going to help. It was like, here's land, here's money.
I'm talking individuals on the street.
No, what I'm
If
saying
we want to
is,
get into the reserve issues, we have much bigger problems.
oh, 100%.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that was not the well-rounded answer to
It
a
needs to be
complex
more
problem.
comprehensive than just give
that's
these
what I'm
people
saying.
money.
It does.
But
we
we-
could start there. We could try it.
So LA is a good example of this,
Oof.
but they have the unique feature of good weather.
Yes.
Yeah,
so-
and they've got tent cities like crazy.
Well,
Well,
so,
we would have tent cities here too.
If it
oh,
was,
yeah, if
if
they
it
allowed
wasn't
it, yeah,
terrible
for sure.
weather.
No, if
no,
we
just
weren't
if they
cutting them
allowed
up.
it, like because
Like
they
right
allow
now-
it on the sidewalks.
If
in
you
the-
set up a
LA.
tent under the bridge,
They ask you to leave.
Someone will be there in 24 hours with scissors.
Yeah,
Don't we have one in the park?
Not for very long. Oh.
yeah, they get shut down every night though.
Yeah.
Well, they get fined.
Yeah,
I
But-
know the guy who runs it.
But like I listen to Dr. Drew a lot on this topic because he's at like the forefront of this
Yeah,
for
yeah.
LA.
And he's got healthy, intelligent, balanced opinions
yeah,
too.
which is understanding that this is a complicated issue. So
Yeah.
they build high rises for people that are homeless in LA. And one of the biggest problems that they have is that it's crazy expensive. So one of these apartment buildings is one apartment, so it's a small little box, is $767,000 to make.
Ugh.
Now that's government inflation,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Wow.
Because it's not that expensive to build a high rise ever.
Where do they put them?
That's the land.
They put them in like Venice Beach and really nice areas where they're
So they destroy the area value.
well, the area value is already under siege because they have these tent cities set up on these.
Well, may as well make it just a bit worse.
Yeah, that's where LA's a good example of trying to help without fully comprehending the problem. And Dr. Drew talks about this from a clinician's side, from a medical doctor's side, of like the do no harm.
Yeah.
And a lot of policy gets enacted because you feel like you have to do something, not understanding that by doing something you might be inflicting harm.
That's right.
And that's one of those situations that if you don't fully understand what the problem is, if you don't understand what someone has, like with COVID, they didn't understand that if you had low O2 stats, you didn't need to get put on a ventilator. And so they were putting people on ventilators, and people were dying needlessly because they didn't fully understand the problem. And I think that's what we're lacking, is just a sheer lack of fully understanding the issue.
Well, how are we going to have a well-rounded answer that hits everyone?
Oh, goodness.
Well, I mean,
It's complicated.
Yeah,
it's
like always?
it's
you can't
multifaceted.
fix people overall.
It depends what you
so
mean
you
by
have
fix.
to you have to create fail safes that just kind of level it for everyone.
Yeah.
You can't go on an individual level with 100,000 people, we'll say.
I would love that if someone got to here, though, there was a little something to get them back to here.
Safety net, and
Well,
this
we
is
have
this
those
is where
things.
I am in favor of universal basic income. I do agree with you that it creates all kinds of problems, but I think that especially for where we're going with automation, you're going to have more people living
Yep.
on the streets,
Yep.
not less.
Yep.
Because there's going to be more people that can't find jobs. I see it even in my workplace. We have less people on the schedule than ever.
Yeah,
And there
well.
are certain people that we did not call back last time. They did not get their jobs back.
Yeah.
We ran light, and now we're running even lighter.
Yep.
And we're probably going to run even lighter when we pick up again than we did last time. So that's just one place of employment. We're hiring less people. Now imagine everywhere else is doing that.
And they are.
You're going to end up with more people in the situations like we're talking about.
Yep.
And now, so we're putting these people on the street potentially because they can't afford their bills anymore.
Yep.
And when you're living that lifestyle, it's more likely that you're going to keep going down. So we need to have some kind of a safety net for everyone that, hey, your basic needs are taken care of in some way.
Yep.
Now you're free of worrying about how you're going to eat. Because if you need to worry about how you're going to eat and you can't make money, what are you going to do?
Right?
What are you going to do? You're going to end up on the street.
Yep.
Well, and I think we have to start looking a little bit more. So one of the things that I've noticed that we end up doing with these social programs is we end up kind of focusing on I think one of the reasons they get shut down is we focus on the people that abuse it too
Yes.
Well, then
Yes.
you're going to have people that are going to spend.
Especially in a conservative province.
You're going to have
Yeah.
people who are going to spend the first $800 of that $1,000
Yeah.
in a day.
Yeah.
And there'll be nothing left.
Yeah.
much. So like the injection site's a good example of this, in my opinion. Like that lady
Oh, yeah.
scammed
Oh,
out
man.
$1.6 million.
Yeah.
You know what? She, as bad as that place was liked, like no one liked that place, or a lot of people didn't.
Yeah. But post that place is worse.
But what I'm saying is, like, they didn't need to make it worse by having her there.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Like, whoever let her run that place, they needed to have someone that the community loved,
Yep.
that could get behind, not this horrible human being that made the place look worse by her proximity to it.
Yep.
Like, she put a fucking bullseye on that place. Should have had someone come out with a good disposition who was open, discussed things clearly with the public, and had no shady dealings.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that place didn't need a target on it.
Well,
No.
but what you're saying is
Especially not here.
No, not in Redneck, Alberta.
Nah,
Fuck no.
nah.
They were taking a hard line having it in
it's-
general.
That's right. Already having it is a bold move for
You put
the
it in one of the
general
most
political mind space
conservative
here.
places. When I moved here, it was fucking cowboy hats.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, what is this place?
People wear cowboy boots non-ironically in
Yeah.
the city.
Yeah.
When I came here from Nova Scotia, I was like, is this for real?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I keep forgetting you're from the east.
Yeah.
Same. I came here and I see cowboy boots in the mall.
And then
I'm
you're
like,
going to
what the
tell me you're going to
frick is
have a
going on
fucking
here?
safe injection site here.
Yeah. I'm impressed.
And then they make this place like so controversial by having her there.
Well, so
Like they
this
didn't
is-
do
this is-
much to smooth it over with the public.
I think socially derived programs or social programs run almost capitalistically would make the most sense, because then it would be based on competence as to who's running that facility.
Right.
Because realistically, if we're looking at her competence level for that facility and how it was run, was
low.
she the best candidate? No.
Was she $330,000 a year the best candidate?
No. Was she a top-notch surgeon? No.
It's unreal, man.
But like, this is where I think if only our two brains could work together. You know what I mean? Like we be socially conscious and cognizant of proficiency. Because those don't have to be mutually exclusive to one another. We can run socially conscious programs well.
So now this comes back to the sad truth where each of us weigh out, this could benefit me this much and benefit other people this much. And how much it benefits us individually is usually going to win out. So in her case, she may have started with the best intentions. We're like, oh no, this is an important program. I'm really going to help people. And slowly, she started to think, well, I could pay myself a little more here and here and here. It's
But
gonna
even
it might hurt
her
my
public
cause.
face from the very start was antagonistic.
See, I don't know what I've never witnessed
I've
her
seen her in
personally.
like press conferences and stuff, and she
Yeah.
was a fucking bitch from day one. Like, hey, how about you understand and accept that you're the odd one out here? You
Yeah.
have to smooth
Yeah.
this over with the public.
That's right.
Not the other way around.
Yeah.
You have to make this work for people.
Yeah.
You need to sell people on this idea, not shame them for not understanding it.
Right.
Well, it's
But
the
that's
self-righteousness of you're doing good.
That's
Too
the
fucking
self-righteousness
bad.
of the
No
left
one in this
nowadays.
city, no one in this
That's what I'm
city had
saying.
seen
Yeah.
anything like it before. It's your job to sell them on it. It's like if I came in here and you'd never seen
Yeah.
like a guy that looked like me before, and I was angry at you for looking at me funny.
Yeah.
That
yeah.
is, are you insane? You
Yeah.
are the odd one out here. You are the other. Make yourself
Yeah.
part of the community.
Yeah.
Don't attack the community.
Maybe having other people tolerate you is easier.
Exactly.
If you bring them to you a little bit.
Bring
if
them
you're
in.
a little bit welcoming and
Be
explain,
welcoming. Explain
hey,
it.
Okay,
I
so-
know this doesn't seem clear to you. I know that you might not like this idea. Here's the good of it.
Yes,
Here's
exactly,
why I think it's a
exactly.
good thing. Here's
you
how it
think-
can help you.
So let's take this and move this to what's happening, because like we seem to have a lot of this when it comes to like let's talk the masks. Like the mask seems like an easy, simple, and highly beneficial way of
Yep.
helping one another.
No, it's a human rights issue.
Sure. But I think that the messaging is very unclear.
Yeah.
And it mostly comes
Mandatory is the word.
from... Well, it comes from the stick, right? It's
Yeah.
You're going to get fined.
That's right.
You're killing people.
Yeah.
How dare you? Rather than informative.
That's not how people like to be told things.
No.
No.
Because it makes them it makes that person your enemy.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
feel like the bad guy.
And
You're
that's
getting
what she
attacked.
became to people.
It's a moving away from thing, not a moving toward thing.
Yeah.
Right? You need to convince people to move toward the same goal as you, not
Like-
away from the same bad thing as you.
Here's a great one. My boss at work and I worked for this woman for 15 years. And for the last, I'd say 7 or 8 years, she has never given me an order.
Yeah.
We talk and discuss things.
Yeah.
And it, even if I'm going to do it because she thinks so, it's never like, you have to do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Reasonable people like to be spoken to and explained to.
How hard is it to say, "Hey, would you mind?" instead of, "Hey, get over there and."
Or even just, this is the direction we're going to go and
Yeah.
this is why. And
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on that? Like, let's have a discussion. Ultimately, obviously, I know that it's her way.
Oh, goodness.
But like,
yeah.
it doesn't need to be stated, I'm in charge. I'm doing this. And
Yep.
I'm punching down.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
We
even,
can be equal in the moment, and we can talk like two people that might have a conversation.
That's right.
Instead of you being my drill sergeant and telling me it has to be this or you're dead.
And you might say, "Well, I don't normally do it that way because," and she says, "Oh yeah, fine. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, keep doing it the other way."
There's
You know,
there's
once you
room
provide a
for
reason.
there's room for some nuance, and that is desperately missing.
so
yeah.
I agree that there's room for nuance in this scenario because you have two people talking. When you have one person talking to 6 million, what do you do?
Well,
Because like,
When
there's
you
no
talk-
way of like when Kenny gets on there and talks, it sounds like your parent is scolding you.
Yeah.
it's because you have
Sounds
to
like
pitch
you
it to the
failed
lowest
and-
common denominator.
Okay,
It has to be understandable to the person with 50 IQ.
Right.
And
So, new wording. Put your fucking mask on or we're going to circumcise you.
sure.
what if you're already circumcised?
Well,
Your dick gets cut off.
that's the thing.
It's just how it works.
It's awkward.
Yeah.
But we got to make a point.
No dicks.
And no clitori.
Yeah, both. Everybody gets it.
That's
So we're
it.
saying
across
with
the board.
kinder, softer language, it doesn't make sense to Leroy, who doesn't give a shit about that.
That's right.
He needs to be punishable by
Well,
law.
Leroy
if you
already
listen.
watched Fight Club twice, so he's fucked the establishment and he doesn't want to help everybody.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so I'll give you an example.
Sorry, anyone out there named Leroy.
Yeah.
No, fuck you, Leroy.
I'm thinking of a very specific Leroy, which is hilarious. But like, so when we were talking and I mentioned the 6% thing, and I met resistance to that, I immediately felt like I was being viewed as bad.
No, I just like to argue sometimes.
No, totally, and
Yeah.
I'm with you on that.
Not
but what I'm
bad
saying
as an
is,
alt-right operative.
yeah, I'm alt-right operative. Yes, I am.
Let's
I am
get
a
the
Russian spy.
terminology
Let's get it
right here.
man.
We went from right to alt-right, didn't we?
Yeah, now he's alt-right,
Oh,
Kevin.
wow.
But what I'm saying is, I very quickly felt like the other.
That's
Yeah.
right.
For saying something in a wording that was not received the way that I was
Well,
intending
because
it to.
you were using a statistic that is typically used by someone
Who's trying to
further
disprove
away
it.
on the spectrum from me than you actually are.
But I also think it's viewed that way. I don't think it's just responsible for people that are on that persuasion. I think it's also viewed that way. I think when
Oh, yeah.
because we have this like emotional interaction to things that I don't know if we ever will be able to understand.
We're not
why.
going away from it. We're going towards it.
Yeah.
We're
And-
not in the mindset of getting away from that
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
Because like if I say something that has been said by someone else, all of a sudden I am that.
Right.
I'm not someone saying these words.
Yes.
And this is where I find I just watching the way that people communicate and the news that gets dropped and all that stuff and the language between things, it's this connective tissue that if you say words that are connected to that someone else has said, we can identify you as that.
Yeah.
And that's very weird, but also I guess very human.
It's like if you watch an episode of Louder with Crowder and then hear someone quote something he said, you immediately think that this person is as far right as whatever Crowder dude.
Yes. It's this
Just
like
naturally.
guilty by association, but the association is single words
Yeah.
or terminology
Yeah.
or things like that.
But-
like even when we were talking about the difference between a kink and a vice, or a kink and a what did I say?
Fetish.
What was
A kink
it?
and a fetish.
Kink and a fetish. So
But
it's
the
like
first word works too.
yeah, yeah. But like it's this like we have these words that mean something, but it actually means whatever our feelings are around the thing, right? And those feelings can go out to X, Y, Z, which all of a sudden paints people
This
into
really
corners.
this really seems like an empathy problem.
That's what I'm meaning.
Instead of categorizing that individual as having the same politics as someone else who says something similar, we should be looking to dive deeper into what do you mean by that? What does that statement mean to you?
well,
Were
and
your parents this politicized?
so my
You should ask them that.
No, I'm asking
Yes,
you. Do you
oh.
remember your parents being this interested in politics?
my parents are very religious, and only recently have like all religious people seem to have now banded onto this right wing ideology thing.
This is what I'm saying. Is recently.
I think it's always been in Congress somehow. Like I think that religious people have always leaned towards the moral party, which is like the preservation
Conservative
of good
values,
ideals.
yeah. But what I'm that's built in. What I'm getting at is how much focus we put on political stuff. My father, my mother, my stepdad did not follow politics.
Yeah, I know.
I don't
Nobody's
know
did.
anyone
Nobody's
older.
did until this year.
It's the big
This
it's
year
the big
is like,
sport now.
I think
Well,
Donald
I've been-
Trump
I've been
really
following
kicked that over
politics
the
Yeah.
goalpost.
Since probably 2004
yeah.
ish. I've been invested in it, but no one older, like from an older generation, I don't feel like they cared the way we do about politics.
not at our age.
Certainly
I
not.
think 20 years ago, 30-year-olds didn't give a flying hoot.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this
about
is
politics.
language that people weren't using
Yeah.
unless they were in those circles.
So is it that everybody is in like the grade 1 of this now?
Well, we see it on everything,
no,
though.
I think it's that we have 9 ways of letting it into our faces now, where before there was 5 o'clock news.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
5 o'clock
exactly.
news talked a little bit about politicians, a little bit about some crimes, a little bit about some natural disasters in
And here's a
Thailand.
squirrel on a surfboard.
And
You,
here's a squirrel on a
open up your
surfboard.
Facebook or something, it's
when
the trending
now
top page
we've
is
got-
something Trump did. Or
Yeah.
How often do I try to Google something and the homepage on Google has all the things I'm interested in? So I
Yeah.
accidentally spend 10 minutes reading 4 other articles.
Suggested articles.
Instead of Googling some random crap to put on my lamb.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's every person.
and that's every person
And it's
now.
different for each
and
person.
then when I sign into Instagram, the same thing happens.
Yeah.
And then God forbid I go to the deep, like I've got my Facebook buried somewhere on my phone. God forbid I have to go to Facebook for some reason. Same crap happens.
A theory
Yeah.
I've been playing around with is how interested in politics are we actually, and how interested in us are politics?
Or how much do we just want to be mad?
Like, how much do politics want our attention versus how much do we
It's
want?
media that wants our attention. Politics wants
Yeah.
to hide
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
shadows.
but
I was
that's
going
the
to say,
tool.
I don't think
That's-
politics wants us to be
Politics
involved at all.
Politics wants to make rules,
But
pass bills,
politics-
and do shit while we're not looking.
But politics is used by people who want to make money,
Yes.
right? The media.
Lot-
They
lot-
want our attention, and it's really, really easy to get our attention by polarizing us.
But lobbyists want to make the government do stuff while we're not looking.
Yeah.
Lobbyists would rather we don't pay any attention and just keep smoking their cigarettes
Yep.
and letting the advertisements for the Juul play on the TV.
But when
Well, it's
we're
like
only
the-
getting things that we want to see or extremely don't want to see, things
right.
that make us angry, we're not actually focusing in on what's happening.
No.
We're just getting pulled into directions that make us angry and happy.
Well, you can see it with this the stimulus thing that they're trying to pass in the States. Like the way that they do politics, it's like, okay, it's not just stimulus that's getting passed on this bill. Everybody's shoehorning their own stuff in there.
That's the thing.
That they're trying to get passed under the wire.
Yeah.
And once you set that precedent, well, now a whole new array of things are possible in the legal landscape.
It's like part of me thinks that like I have a deep distrust of anything that is viewed as beyond reproach. Now,
Of course.
like I
Yeah.
didn't for the longest time.
Yeah, right.
I was like, whatever. But now, anything that is holier than thou, or that we should just be good about not talk. What are you talking about? That's fine.
Yeah.
It's like this safe injection site. It's like we're saving lives. Get away from my books. I don't
Yeah.
need you to. I don't
Right.
need receipts. What are you talking about?
When hey, maybe
they
some
should have done it
scrutiny
the
is super
exact
appropriate.
opposite, where
Yeah.
every single part of that should have been open to the public.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything.
But that's when it's publicly run.
Yeah.
Like that was the weird thing about this is it's a private for-profit business that is funded by our government.
If they
So it's
had
not
been,
government run,
if they had
it's
been
government funded.
very, very open and honest about it, it would still be there today.
Yeah.
Because you would have won the public's trust that way.
Some would argue that it wouldn't have been as efficient.
Well,
But-
it would still exist. Like if
That's
they
fair.
had played the open to the public game and kind of gradually won favor with the public, and you would just have the really far right guys opposing it, then you wouldn't have almost everyone hating it by the end, right? Because of how they handled it. Even if they were technically doing a good thing, even the people who were on board with them were having a hard time defending it by the end. Like it was getting really hard to defend in the end.
I think this supervised consumption site is a funny example because there's a lot of people, especially in this area politically, this climate, that hate the concept of it, regardless of how it's run or how much it costs.
Yes,
it
but
could, it
you
could
can-
be totally free, and they'd be like, a place you can shoot up
yeah,
legally.
yeah.
It'll never stand
You're,
in my
you're not
town.
going to get
Yeah.
all of those guys, but you
No.
will get some people to be more okay with
Some
the
people
idea.
who are open-minded will read the article, will do some research, and say, you know what? I think that there was a net positive from this.
Well, the
and
last thing
therefore
you
I'm behind
want
it.
is for some big hateful bitch to come out and scold you about how backwards you are.
Oh my God, never,
And
never.
like I was
Never.
at
And then
this-
you find out she's been stealing from the business herself.
Even though, don't we all just want to stand up and scold everyone all the time?
all the time.
Welcome to the future.
Yeah. I think it's a matter of more people need to be closer to it. Because like I remember because my feelings about the whole thing have always been like, well, it's good that we're saving lives, but there's no follow through after that. But this is just a piece in the puzzle, if you will. And I remember I was at a dinner for my uncle's birthday back when we could have dinners in like last summer,
before
2019,
times?
2019 summer.
The before time.
And he had a bunch of his friends there, and my grandpa, and this one lady said something really anti-safe injection site. And then one of my uncle's friends is like the head of the social workers in the
wicked.
AHS here.
Yeah.
And took her to task.
Awesome.
It was phenomenal. And the lady at the end of it basically said like, I'm so sorry, and thank you for helping me understand this better.
So there are people who can have their minds changed.
Yeah, but because it was faced with unabashed truth,
Right.
and reality.
Yeah.
Now
Because,
you
like-
change that setting into a group where he's the odd man
Where
out.
he's outnumbered,
and
his points are going
she's
nowhere.
surrounded by all of her cohorts that
Yeah.
also agree with her.
Yeah,
I don't
think
know
it
if
would've-
that works.
I don't think it would have either. And I think it was the one-on-one kind of like she was faced with the
amazing
reality
how-
of seeing someone that's not only within the system, but has real information, not just what you heard.
It's amazing how the environment you're in can change the information's
Yeah.
value.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Well, it's like when Steph is a nurse and
Yeah.
she's at Tabor and she's had to deal with COVID a lot. And like she and anybody in the medical field is always like a good reminder to me of reality. Cause like having a conversation with her about it and someone that's been in the room with it, seeing people with it, seeing people with it go against regulations and not isolate and things like that and all these different things and have her express her concerns about it. It was one of those like, man, we all just need we all need to befriend someone in each field almost.
Yeah.
Just so we can get an idea of reality, because her reality and what everyone else is out there projecting is totally different.
I don't know, man. A diversity of viewpoints and opinions sounds ridiculous.
Yeah, I know. It's weird,
I
right?
can't even tolerate that for a second.
But
Like
it
I
was just one
said-
of those like I wish we could all have like a balanced breakfast of people in our life.
That'd be great. It's
That-
called community.
Yeah, but
that'd be awesome.
When you were in religion and when
Yeah.
I was in religion, there was no balance.
Community today
Because everyone that
is-
was outside of our religion,
was the
they
enemy.
were wrong.
Community today is the pages you follow online that all agree with everything you
Yeah.
think. Which is why I've said before, my YouTube feed is right wing, left wing,
Yeah.
extreme left, extreme right,
we
like
make-
all over the place.
Can we make a bonus episode where beforehand we watch Social Dilemma and the Rogan interview with the guy from Social Dilemma, Tristan Harris, I think his name
Tristan
is.
Harris.
Tristan Harris.
I've
Yes.
heard him speak lots of other times on Sam Harris, and I found that the one he did with Rogan recently wasn't as interesting.
Really,
as
I
those.
found it quite good.
It was well,
He's
it wasn't.
probably even better with Harris. Though.
It was better with Harris both times that I heard him because
Right.
they go into places that Rogan can't quite get to.
Yeah, he doesn't quite grasp.
It's not that he can't grasp; it's that Rogan is
He's
trying
like,
to
Twitter's
make
a
it.
shithole, right? Like,
Rogan
He
will
doesn't-
make it dummy friendly.
Yes.
That's
where
right.
Harris is very high intellectual.
And Rogan's done it enough now where he's not deep diving into anything these
No,
days.
he
He's
kind of-
just kind of like, I'm here to have a chat.
yeah, he dances on the surface.
Not
Yeah,
make it not make it
Harrison-
complicated, just having a chat.
Harris gets into it with him and guys like him over
Yeah.
where tech is going, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh my god, like it's mind bending.
So we should watch Social Dilemma and then some Tristan Harris stuff, and then just have a 45-minute special where we just scream about social media problems and
Man.
and general mindset twistedness.
Yeah.
And direction of the modern mentality.
That's one of the things that I find so interesting about watching that Social Dilemma is all that it is
It's a really simple thing.
it's they're writing code to play into what already exists in us.
We're getting hacked.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's not because they're
For
like-
money.
We talked a
it's
lot
just for
about
money.
this. We talked a lot about this in bites all throughout this
We do.
podcast.
Yeah.
How we moderate ourselves to be useful in an online sphere.
I just think we could rant on it
Like
for
you
a hot
said this
minute,
morning,
and it'd be a
I'm
great
going to really
time.
iron out my Instagram game this
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
So that if I go traveling, my stuff looks more competent.
That's
But-
it.
Like, it's amazing the pull of social media
It's
now.
crazy, yeah.
But
And the hours
that's
it takes to
purpose-driven.
iron out my Instagram game.
It's like a full job, for
yeah,
Christ's sake.
big time.
But that's purpose driven.
Yeah.
I'm not as opposed to using a tool for a job.
Oh no.
I'm more opposed to the idea of the tool using you without your understanding of it.
That's it. That's
Because
it.
like realistically, you posting things and you scrolling are two different functions.
Oh yeah.
and
Don't
that's
get
one of
into
those like,
scrolling. I never scroll.
well, every once in a while I'll get to this point where I'm like, oh, so all I see is tattoos, and the occasional meme, and that's it.
Though if we're talking practicality, if you want to get into the algorithm when you're at a low level of followers like myself, you need to scroll and get
See what
like,
people are
You
doing.
need to check the terrain, see what
when
people
you
are doing.
post, well, part of the algorithm is if you want to have anyone see your stuff, you need to go on and like 100 things and comment on 10 things.
Yeah, you have to do
you-
some back scratching.
Yeah, you need to engage to get the
And
algorithm
I do
to put
that.
you in.
Like I have certain accounts that will always interact with me, and then
That's
I'll
right.
always do that for them. So
Yep.
you have a built-in.
You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of like business in like the 70s and below. It's like you got a
There's-
guy for your meats, and that
Yep.
guy goes to you for his stuff, and it's like you've got this
There's
little
a
network
thing
of
that
people
happens
that
online,
everybody's,
and I've been
I
in
got
the-
a guy for that.
I've been in a few of them. I'm not in any of them now, and I really have no desire to be because I still have enough engagement every post. But there are things called engagement groups,
Yeah.
where all you'll do is you'll type an emoji, and then people will go and like your latest post, and they'll comment 4 words or more on your post. It has to
Cool.
be 4 words or it won't be recognized by the algorithm. Like, hey man, great post. This is dope, bro. What a rad bag. That's a sick hat. This is rad. This is so rad. Like, just any 4 words.
I do that every day. I'm online, leave some comments for no reason.
So what happens is you do this
Wow.
and then they do it for you, and you
Yeah.
do, you know what I mean? Now I have a lot of those entanglements going on anyway.
Yeah.
With just certain accounts that I like anyway, and they do the same for me. So I
You
don't.
should teach me some of this sometime.
Oh my
I want to
God.
learn some of this from
It's
Oh,
you.
dude, if
actually-
you just let him run your Instagram for a little bit,
Dude.
you'll have like
It's otherworldly the amount of shit I've learned over the last 3-4 years.
Yeah.
So over this time off, let me know. I'd like to come hang out here and spend a couple hours learning some of that stuff because that's super cool.
I say all the time, like, I'm just kind of a boring guy who cooks, who gets tattooed. Somehow 121,000 on Instagram, 800,000 on TikTok,
Nice.
now rising on YouTube.
yeah.
It's not because I'm good looking. Like, how is this possible? Sometimes I sit back and it's like, how is this a thing?
You're a strategist.
It's all been strategy.
Well, sure, but at the same time, if we're talking capitalism, there has to be something there, otherwise it wouldn't work.
Well, a lot
Oh,
of
you have
people.
a product.
Oh yeah, there's a product.
But
And,
the product only works because the solid
The
strategy
product
behind
has
it.
changed a lot, though. Lots of people
Sure.
find an image and they write it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is me. I'm like, nope. There's no real particular image. It changes all the fucking time.
Yeah.
So I have so much breakage. So many people get tired of it, or they're like, fuck this. This isn't for me. Why did you like? When I was building my Instagram at first, I had a normal tattoo suit, which is
Yeah.
whatever,
Right.
right?
Right.
And I changed that to full blackout tattoo, basically. And how many of those people that were there from the start are still there now? Probably not that many.
The thing I always wonder, like, now that I'm thinking about it more like professionally, I just like I follow so many people, and I'm always thinking like, why do I follow them? Because I don't even usually scroll through my page of things like that stuff. I usually go through the explore page to try and find different stuff.
Here's a hint: start muting all those people, because if you have 1,000 followers and you only follow 200 people, which like I only want to follow 200 people.
Yeah,
But you need to follow more than that because no one's going to follow you if you're not doing any follow backs.
that makes
Well,
sense.
I don't follow that many people.
Yes, but you've already you got to a certain level before Instagram became so hard. Like Instagram's so hard.
It
now.
was.
Do you
I'm
think
told
that changes when they sell it?
incredibly easy.
So what?
It was
Facebook's
incredibly
being
easy
forced.
Oh
before.
right, yeah.
When the chronological feed.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
But I got in just after that change. I started, but I rode a wave. I rode 2 separate waves, I should say, where when I started the blackout journey, I started getting posted all over the place, and I really utilized that. I fed into that. I found the specific type of image that really worked for me, and I rode that out. And it was like 1,500 a week sometimes, followers. And then it happened again when I started doing the weird videos and shit. I got a huge bump for that. Then I got the Unilad video and all that shit, right? And you just ride waves.
Yeah.
Like that's basically, you have to learn to be really good at riding waves and finding the thing that works and then just milking it for all it's worth.
But see, I want it to be easy and not put any work into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want
If
to
you-
strike the lottery?
I've seen so many guys come and they'll get like real big for a minute and their shit will be great for a minute and then all of a sudden it's over.
Yeah.
Because they don't realize how to keep that going.
Right.
Or like bridge off from that where it's like, okay, how do I sustain this and make it work?
Part of me is also wondering that, like, if you don't follow through with it, did you really want to do it?
You have to have a reason.
Yeah.
Like you
That's what I
can't just
mean.
be like, oh, I'm gonna make money off of this somehow.
Well, I look at it like those there's the occasional YouTube channel that'll be giant
Yeah.
and then it just kind of goes away.
Yeah.
Like what was that one where they were like, I think the guy's name was Hurley, where they were making crazy food, and it was like huge for a little while, and then it just kind of fizzled. And then he tried working with other things to get into other places and keep his kind of celebrity and money up. But like, you could see that they got into it, hanging out, making stupid food when they were high. And then all of a sudden it's like money's involved.
Yeah.
And it's now not about hanging out and getting high and eating food. It's about the number. And when it's about the number, I think all of a sudden you've lost the inspiration. Like, just like we were talking about with Seinfeld or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, the inspiration for the idea is now no longer it. It's maintaining or growing the number.
So my big thing is, and I tell this to lots of people these days, is you want to become memorable more than your number. Like you want to become like, say Instagram falls apart. Say there's no more TikTok,
Yeah.
but they might remember me and look for me on any other platform.
Yeah.
Right. So less about, I want to be less big and more known by the people who do know me. You know what I mean? More punchy in your memory. Like, remember that guy that did this thing?
Yeah.
Man, I wonder what that guy's doing now. And then you look for that person.
Yep.
Because every single platform is temporary.
Yeah.
And that's why I want to be on multiple platforms and known for different reasons.
Yep.
Right? Like my TikTok is so much different than my Instagram. Like it's wacky as fuck and nothing needs to make any sense. But on Instagram, I feel very serious and very focused, and I worry about what I put up there. Where TikTok, it's like, I'm just going to be a disgusting little bastard, you know? And that's what that platform's built to foster.
Well, but it's only built that way because it's not monetized yet.
Not particularly monetizable.
Yeah.
If it was, I'd be making good money.
Well, you could monetize if somebody wanted to, you know, if rather than putting a carrot through your cheek or whatever.
Yeah.
If all of a sudden it was like someone paid you to, like, you know, those like Bang energy drinks. So it's like you hold a Bang energy drink with a straw through it, and then all of a sudden you have 6 million people that see this Bang energy drink. Like,
Man, I gotta get
That's-
some bang.
that's like new money way of monetizing. Like UFC used to do that back when the fighters weren't getting paid super well,
Well-
but they could advertise on their shorts and stuff. And it's like it was better for younger, like it was better for people that didn't have as big of a name because they were still on a platform that could get them exposure. And that would be the way of doing it if it's if it's new money. Old money now is the way Instagram is, which is like, you want to use our platform, you want to get out there, you want to increase your reach, you want to use this thing, all right, well, you pay us.
Here's where you get to fuck Instagram in the ass a little bit, though.
Gross.
Yeah. I was wearing this bracelet very on purpose when we did the pictures of the moon.
Yeah.
And that ends up going viral. And Inc. magazine ends up posting it. This was given to me by Clocks and Colors.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And now they're sending me more shit.
Yeah.
Because they're
Nice.
like, holy shit, the advertisement they get from me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that thing was seen by how many people?
Yeah.
And that's the power of marketing, right? Like they're going to work with me more because I get more eyes.
Yeah.
This is where I always say, like, because Clocks and Colors would have never even looked at me a couple years ago because their stuff is worth hundreds of dollars. Like, this is like $300 bracelet.
Whoa.
Looks it.
Yeah, it's
Cool.
really, I love the bracelet.
No
I would
kidding.
never pay for it.
Yeah.
But if they're going to give it to me, sure. Now, the next time they send me anything, it's going to be, I'm not wearing this for any less than this amount,
Yep.
you know? And it's that simple because I'm getting them more views than probably anyone else right now. When you're getting posted on fucking Inc. magazine, you know?
Well, that's why I'm saying, like, that in terms of the way that a marketing system works is beneficial for you.
Yeah.
It's not beneficial for Instagram.
Nope.
And Instagram is now in a place
That's
where
where
they're
it
trying to
said.
make it beneficial for them.
That's where you get to fuck them in the ass a little
Yeah.
bit. Because I have, despite them, become someone that people know around the world. Like I had that guy a few weeks ago go, everyone in the world knows you're the biggest idiot. And like, what a fucking
compliment.
honor.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not true.
Everyone in the world.
Not everybody in the world knows, but the fact that people around the world, to some capacity, know who you are is a compliment, not a diss.
Of course.
And it's also a sign that what I've been doing for these last 3 years has worked. And it's going to continue working as long as I continue doing it. Like, the threshold for this is my patience.
Yeah.
Like, eventually, I could get real tired of it. And that's what happens with a lot of people. They just stop posting. They
Well,
get tired of
man-
their own shit. Because sometimes I'll think, like, man, I'm tired of this.
Yeah, yeah.
How is my audience not tired of this?
Well, eventually, like, I'm kind of bored of doing this thing.
Yeah.
Well, and I think I'm more tired of it than anyone. Because I'm like, oh, good, it's another picture of Ephemeral Remy. It's another Ephemeral Remy caption.
I always have this theory, which is the thing that like I would live by as well, which is like you only care about engaging with the world until you can live off the interest.
Yeah.
Like if all of a sudden
Right,
you've got the
exactly.
money that you can live off 2% annually, and you love that, you can do that for the rest of your life,
Except
as long as the whole world doesn't collapse. But you can do that, and you see that with certain celebrities where it's like they got to a point, they invested in property or whatever it is
And then
they
they're
did,
gone.
and then they're done.
Yeah.
Like why
Which
would
is
you
the
engage in
smart
an
way.
Yeah. Why would you
Here's
engage
my
in an
thing.
exhausting
go do some
system?
philanthropy.
Yeah.
I would then say
just sit on a
once
beach.
I make it or whatever and I'm making money off of this shit, I think I would do like 1 or 2 posts a week. Hey, how's it going? Check out the new podcast. And then I'm fucking gone for the week.
But
Like,
see,
I'm-
then it would be you'd only be doing stuff that you wanted to do.
Exactly. Right now, this is a grind.
Yeah.
People think I'm doing it like it's for fun, or I really like doing pictures. Oh, look at this narcissist. No, this is a fucking ladder I am climbing.
You're like,
Yeah.
no, I'm building a freaking house.
Yeah.
It looks like this,
Yeah.
and
It's a
eventually it needs to
ladder.
make me money.
Yeah.
It's a ladder, and I don't always like climbing. But if I don't do this, it won't grow. If you just stop posting, you will slowly backpedal.
Yeah.
Yep.
I always think that with like whenever you see certain celebrities that like don't have social media, and then when they're in interviews, they get asked about like, what are you watching? And they're like, well, I don't really watch TV. And I go, that's what money is.
Yeah.
You don't consume any of the nonsense that's built to make money off of you.
Yep.
Because you've made money.
Yep.
You go and do things and live your life, and you're outside of that system.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're not trying to make money off of you.
Yeah.
You're now past whatever that is. They're trying to make money off of people, like regular people that need things and want the climb and things like that. But if you're at a point where you've hit the climb and you're at the top of your mountain, then all of a sudden it's not about the climb anymore. It's not about.
I
like,
always keep thinking like there's going to be a point where I'll get to that I can't get any more. Like there has to be a saturation point for what I am. A guy with way too many piercings, big holes, and blackout tattoos everywhere. There's a saturation point, but it's higher than I thought it was. Like I'm
feel
already
ya.
bigger than I thought I would ever be.
Yep.
I can't even fathom how it got to this point. So then you're just like, well, I guess I just keep going. And if I could get all of these fuckers to go check out YouTube instead of Instagram, it's enough to live on. If I could get everyone that's on my Instagram
Touche.
to YouTube, then we're making money kind of thing.
Wow.
Yep.
That's pretty sweet.
It is, because it's like, it is possible to imagine. So I'm already at the point where I would be comfortable if those people would watch this
So,
podcast.
what's the saturation point of a podcast like this?
Oh, I mean, now there's so many people
That's
doing so many things.
That's
but
the thing is a podcast like this where we don't have specific enough content to capture, like, I don't know, like, if you listen to Ologies with Ali Ward, that has a broad reach. You know, I don't listen to it very often, but when I want a good sciencey thing with a certain type of bang to it, I go there because I know that she's offering a very specific content. It's informative. It checks a lot of specific boxes.
You know,
Something
though,
like
our
this,
path isn't as wide as we think it is. I've watched a
That's
lot
true.
of our podcasts, and they're always pretty. We're always in the same areas.
well,
just
we're
on
not
different-
gonna we're not gonna be outside of who we are.
No,
No,
I
that's
know,
true.
but that's what I'm saying. Is like it's very easy to think that we're wandering a lot.
Yeah.
But then when you watch them all, they're all
it's actually pretty on point.
in the same
And-
areas.
And by doing so, we've kept to a very specific brand of, oh, it is just conversational.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's unscripted in format, in subject, in style, whatever. You know, we do consistently do certain things.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, what do you think the saturation is on that?
I think it would come down to how many people find it and they like the vibe.
Right.
Because like one of the things that I always go with podcasts is like, if I'm gonna there's podcasts that I listen to for information,
Yeah.
and there's podcasts that I listen to
Yeah,
because I
they're
like the hang of it.
Totally different things.
Which is like Rogan, it's just the hang.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get a little bit of informative.
I'll tell you
but
what,
it's
there's
usually
a
just
couple
the
of
hang.
Yeah.
piercing podcasts that I've listened to that I'm like, okay, I've heard you talk
Yeah.
this same topic with other people 9 times. I don't care
Yeah.
anymore.
Whereas Lex Friedman, he's gonna get some informative stuff in there. He's gonna get some cerebral.
He's all right.
Topics.
I don't love him.
Oh, he's not incredible, but he's gonna have actual scientists and actual doctorates on there to talk about specific issues.
I prefer, like, I've listened to his podcast, but I prefer Sam Harris for that kind of content
I
personally.
don't know Sam Harris very well.
Like I mean, markedly, he's the most boisterous atheist that's out there currently.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
I would say.
But he's also like, they try and put him in the alt-right now.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Even though
But he's not
incredibly
actually
liberal.
at all. He's incredibly liberal.
He's incredibly liberal, as most people that get painted with that brush are.
So yeah,
Yeah.
Like so socially, in terms of the things that like you would define a liberal, yeah, he's all left.
yeah, I know. It's crazy.
But he's friends with Joe Rogan, therefore all
Yeah.
right.
yeah,
It's
him
like
and-
Joe Rogan is incredibly liberal, but
he needs
Yeah.
to.
He kills
needs to be
animals,
on
so
again.
whatever.
Yeah,
like
gets
he hasn't been
painted
on
right.
in like 2 years on Rogan.
Goodness.
Sam Harris. Well, I mean, a lot of people haven't. Joe's like podcast has now kind of gone outside of his sphere, and I like part of me doesn't like it anymore.
Yeah, I don't like it as much. I was
Like-
telling Sarah that the other day.
Like he doesn't just have his friends on anymore in the same way. Like now all of a sudden his friends are like hunting guys and all that stuff, but he doesn't have his comedian buddies on anymore. Like
It's
I
not
miss
as
the
funny anymore either. to
No,
me.
no.
I think
way
he's
less
angry
funny.
right now.
Rogan?
Yeah,
he's angry at a lot of stuff right now.
Yeah, and I could, it's
He's
justifiably,
angry
I
a bit
think
scared. He's done a lot of stuff this year with moving and changing his entire thing.
He doesn't
Speaking-
feel as relaxed.
Speaking
and-
of killing stuff, last week I sent my application for my firearms license.
Woo! Sweet.
Yeah, I've already
Preparing
finished
for
my,
the
You're an
apocalypse.
Albertan now.
I've already finished my hunter safety. I mean, I shot a lot of guns in New Brunswick.
Do you want some cowboy boots?
Nope. They're not practical for the forest.
They're
How
not
about a
practical
nice
for most
hat?
things other than riding horses.
That's
How
true.
about some spurs?
Nope, not that either. I've ridden plenty of horses. Not my thing.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't care. I'll do it, but I don't care.
So what are you gonna shoot first?
Probably a deer.
Cool.
Yeah, probably a whitetail. I imagine because I didn't do any draws this year, so next year I'll get a bottom of the barrel draw for a whitetail. Or I'll probably just buy a whitetail tag. It's more like it.
Yep.
And hopefully get a deer.
Sweet. I like it.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, you'll have to let us know how that goes.
I'm excited. Well, you guys.
I
bit
love how
like
this
that.
has become the to reference Seinfeld again. The Winter of Scott.
Yeah.
Right? The Summer of George. Did you ever see that? It's George gets fired, but he gets severance.
Oh yeah.
So he gets all these plans he wants to do, but instead all he does is he ends up just sitting around and eating snacks and like
Nice.
watching TV.
He's the night man.
He says, well, yeah, he says to Jerry, he says he's got to decompress first. So
Yeah.
later in the episode, Jerry says to George, So, George, did you ever get into any of that stuff you were talking about, or are you still decomposing? It's like, I said decompressing.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yes, George is
Touché.
essentially the Nightman in that episode. He's
the
got
Nightman.
a fridge built into his chair.
He's the Nightman in all of us.
Yes, George Costanza was the Nightman before the Nightman, I think.
No, by next hunting season, hopefully this COVID is all gone.
Yeah,
Probably won't be gone.
I don't
But
think so.
it'll be a lot different landscape, I think, though.
It's easy for us to say that now.
We also said that by November this year, it would be gone.
Well, I was
when we were
joking
back in
to
March.
Sarah in February. We're not going to see your parents this Christmas. And she's, don't say that. That's mean.
Yeah.
And
Just
we're not
kidding.
going to see her parents.
Yeah, I think more people should adopt some radical acceptance when it comes to these things. Like, just look at what's the worst case scenario, accept that's a possibility, and act accordingly.
Do I have to wear a mask and have a Christmas that doesn't involve weird arguments with in-laws?
Dude,
Yeah, I guess I have to accept that. What a bummer.
part of me had like a lot of peace over that.
Yeah.
Over just like,
I mean,
Maybe-
just
maybe I do
kidding.
it the
Rowan's
way-
mom lives there now.
Yeah.
But such is life.
dude, I can't even imagine what that household's like right now. I can't live with
It's
my
actually
parents
not.
ever.
It's actually not bad. Like
that's good.
it's tense at times. Don't get me wrong. But,
I had that once.
But Rowan's
yeah.
a smart cookie. She's making it work.
That's good.
She's doing good.
My girlfriend that I was with that came here from Ontario, her mother moved to live with us for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't great. It was very odd.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's difficult because like parents don't like to do anything the way that they don't want to do it.
That's right.
They become very kid-like in that. It's like, well, I'm right because I'm a parent, and you should do it my way. Obviously, that's like the call I got to dissuade me from taking a vaccine. It's like, now, granted, it's because I have a history of allergy. I was extremely allergic to a lot of things as a kid, and I
Right.
probably will hold off. I'm thinking till the Johnson & Johnson one. Johnson & Johnson one is a classic. It's not one of the mRNA ones. It's just
Oh, it's not?
No, it's a natural antibody one.
Really?
Yeah,
So
which
made
is-
with the actual virus.
Yeah.
Cool.
So it's like the what's cured polio kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I'm probably gonna hold off for that one if I
Cool.
can pick.
Also, give it 6 months of the Pfizer Moderna running around. We'll know if there's side effects.
Well, it's just
I mean, at
the
least short-term
anaphylaxis
ones.
is the big stressor
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now. Because if you're doing if you're administering these things and you get Bell's palsy or anaphylaxis and you're at a hospital, okay, fine.
Yeah.
But if you're just at some sort of like if you're going to Save On Foods,
Yeah.
and they're going to jab you with a needle and
Here's
all
a
of a sudden
question.
you die.
If they told you today you take this vaccine, it's not perfect, but you can have your job back tomorrow, you take the vaccine?
I would want to know which vaccine.
So
I
you
want to
would
know
care?
what's in it. I would
Yeah.
want to know, and I would want to have an allergen test done for me personally, just because I'm a bit unique in that
You're
respect.
like-
I got to
Stick
tell
with
you,
the
if they
needle and
told
don't
me
inject
everything
anything
can go
yet.
back to
Well, just
normal
the
if you do
components,
this.
you can do testers of each component
Yeah.
and see if you
Yeah.
have it.
If everything could go back to normal, you do this, and then all these restrictions will go away, kind of thing. I would do it.
I mean, I think most people would when they're presented with the reality of it. Like if it's on offer and it's like, hey, this is a possibility, you can have this.
Yeah.
Right now, everything's out there. Like it's like, if you were to say, oh, you're gonna go to Africa, take these, you're gonna need to get inoculations. Nobody winks at that.
No.
Nobody's like, oh man, I'm not getting a malaria inoculation
such
or whatever.
thing,
I
but-
know what I'm just trying. I don't know what you would get.
Yellow fever, dengue,
Yeah.
Japanese encephalitis.
Like nobody balks at those.
yeah.
No.
Right? It's not like, oh, but you're gonna give me something to track me or some nonsense.
That's because we think about places like that as like, well, what's third world? We you have to be protected.
And you're like, I don't know what hepatitis does, but I don't
It
want
sounds scarier and more dangerous.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't
Where here,
want
we're
it.
just going to the mall.
We're here, you're like, a vaccine? If the government tries to make me take one of those.
Well, now granted, like let's go into the mindset of those people.
Oh, no.
It's a scary place.
Dangerous territory.
There is good evidence to show that things have gone wrong in history.
Of course.
History is a nightmare if you want to look at it that way.
I also think that polio is worse.
It was way worse. Weird, right?
And then
No, really?
What are you talking about?
And if you think polio was
thing
bad,
that killed you.
meet my good buddy smallpox.
Yeah, jeez. The
He's
Black
a
Plague.
He's a riot.
Yeah. Well, this is
I'd
one of
rather
those-
not meet your good buddy smallpox.
But it's like selective information, right? You get to choose which part of the information you want to resonate with, which is like, yeah, we've like obviously there's going to be issues.
Yeah.
Even with this vaccine, like when you see like the adverse reactions that came out, like there's people that died in the trial. There's a lot of things that you could take as information to tell you that this is bad news.
Yeah.
And obviously this is nefarious. Granted, the whole world of vaccines previous, there's a lot of information to show you that
Bad things happen.
Well, bad things happen, but also good things happen. We don't have polio. the same way
Like
that we
smallpox
did.
and polio, yeah.
Those are good examples. So, but I mean, it's just one of
We
those
all
like,
get vaccinated here in an industrialized country. We all get, like, when I was a kid, it was like 4 shots or something for hepatitis B.
yeah, of course.
Yeah, we all got hepatitis B immunizations when we were young.
Yep.
And do you hear of anybody that has hepatitis B?
No, but what you hear
It will-
instead is you hear
Hep B,
autism.
Hep B will ravage you.
Yeah, of course. But
Where-
what you hear about in terms
Yeah.
of the argument against it is not like that it
That it
didn't help
causes
with that.
autism.
That's
it's
right.
that it's something else that is either and now all of a sudden they're talking about how autism in boys especially, one of the key factors is vitamin D deficiency.
Really?
The fact that they're studying vitamin D, which is a hormone, and just the fact that they're paying attention to hormones in general
It's
is
huge.
so big.
It's so neat.
So big.
Yeah.
So like for me, I kind of go, well, we don't understand the problem. We don't understand many problems, and you can grab a lot of information to support whatever route you want
Yeah.
to go. Unfortunately,
You can construct any kind of an argument these
Yeah.
days.
but yeah,
I
I
thought
mean,
you
for
were
me,
gonna-
sorry to answer your question again. If I could understand that it would be safe, or I was in an environment that I was safe, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, it takes a lot more for you than most people
I
to.
really thought you were going to say that immunizations have caused autism and autism has caused all school shootings. So here we are.
I mean,
What's interesting to me is that I know some older people
This
that
is how
I
conspiracy
think
theories
gonna
start.
say something way crazy.
I know some older people who I think are autistic. Like, really. Like, Sarah's father. That guy is very clearly autistic to me, but before the definition was prevalent.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I feel like it's been around for a long, long time. We just
of
weren't
course
using
it
that
has.
terminology so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, the people who think that it's this new problem or something, it's just that we didn't really define things that way before.
No one was ADD in
Oh,
1932.
yeah. Exactly.
But
Just
now
go
everyone
outside
is.
and play, man. Just
Yeah.
go
We
outside
just
and
have
play.
so many new words for things
That's
and
it.
definitions.
Well, suddenly you're not okay unless you're in this chunk
Yeah.
of the population of normalcy.
Yep.
Like,
It's almost
no, not okay.
impossible.
Well, again, not to keep going back to my allergies, but like when we were kids, we were horrible kids because we were allergic to everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we ate something, we had a bad reaction and we became irate, and it's not
Suddenly it's an
controllable.
emergency. Suddenly it's an extreme issue.
Yeah.
out of
But I mean,
nothing.
like if you didn't know that we were allergic to things, and you just viewed us as a kid, you'd be like, this kid is terrible.
yeah,
Yeah. What a rotten little bastard.
Yeah. And like, but it wasn't our fault. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that is what it is.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is the hepatitis B immunization caused those food allergies.
Of course it did.
Which caused the behavioral issues.
Yeah.
Which is why
Which is why I'm 63% mercury now.
you're a serial killer.
Yes.
Okay.
Naturally.
Now we know.
Naturally, of course. That's,
And
of course
which
that's
is
what it
why this new COVID vaccine is going to make even more serial killers. So we should all avoid it.
Or is it going to reverse all the hepatitis B immunization issues?
Now it's going to be hepatitis Z.
And then we're going to make a movie about it.
It's called Tenet.
Yeah.
I will say, like, even though I know I said it sarcastically and things like that, man, I have an aversion to the fact that I just said I was a serial killer without being able to say that I'm sarcastic about it.
Okay.
You know
Interesting.
What I mean? Like you just said, and I joked along, yeah, I said it. But if you were to read that out as a transcript, you accused me of being a serial killer, to which I agreed. Like,
And with that mask on, maybe no one would see the sarcasm.
exactly.
Yes, I
Or
am a serial killer.
The video component.
Yeah.
That's that Bill Burr bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it's terrifying times. It's terrifying times.
It sure is.
I try and be optimistic, but
It's harder and
it's not
harder to
working
be.
right now.
But it's sometimes more fun to be cynical.
Optimism oftentimes seems like pie in the sky, silly. Dystopian is reality these days.
Well, I think it's perceived reality.
While paranoia
I mean, all realities perceived.
Paranoia
reality.
is
Nice.
very, very akin to common sense now. It seems
Yeah.
like expecting the worst has become a realistic outlook.
Yeah.
Well, for a good deal
But-
of our population for a long time, that's how you survived.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Over preparing for the winter.
Mhm.
And
Oh,
the
yeah.
winter was bad. Or under preparing for the winter because you didn't think it was going to be bad. That guy died,
Yeah.
you know? So maybe it just served us really well in the past. And it's, again, one of those things that we can kind of let go a little bit.
Like the family I'm from, it was only 2 generations ago on both sides where we had a root cellar, and like we as in, you know, my extended family. 2 generations ago, there was a root cellar because that's what you ate all winter was the potatoes, and then you were actually canning vegetables because that's what you ate with your potatoes all winter, and then you actually had frozen meats that from animals you had raised and killed yourself because that was your meat for the winter, and you were actually baking bread because that's the only way you're feeding 12 kids, just nonstop. And that's just a couple generations ago.
Do you think that, well, I mean, obviously nothing comes back, right? Like, obviously the progress moves forward. But do you ever think that we'll start to notice that that had value?
I think that we're a lot
yeah.
of steps closer to Russia being Russia than everyone thinks we are.
I think
I
we're going to
think-
have a pushback, but no time soon.
I think in our lifetimes we're likely to experience an economic turnaround that's going to make it almost vital to be doing that again.
Crazy. Well, on that cheery note,
yeah.
I think we did. We've just been rambling for the last 20 minutes.
yeah, I know.
Yeah. We really got into the weeds.
But it's been fun. I
Yeah.
think that's because like
Well, what
no
else
one,
we got to do?
No one's still listening. It's just
We're
it-
all night men now.
Yeah.
It's
we're all
like
night
at this
men.
point it's Rowan and Nicole still listening.
No, Nicole
And
hasn't
that's
watched
it.
one of these.
Really?
I don't think so. She's like, "Do you guys talk about makeup?" Then no.
I mean, I actually haven't watched a single one. I've probably seen a
I mean,
total
I
of
have
10
to
minutes.
because I
Yeah,
edit.
good.
No, I watched them all back.
I gotta over
I need to
over
make sure we didn't say anything too bad.
over COVIDcation. I'm gonna watch a couple.
You should.
Yeah.
There was a couple where we had to fix some things. So
I think today has dropped me f bombs.
nah,
deal.
Okay, good.
whatever.
Well, that's
It hasn't even seemed to matter.
great.
It's all within the first 5 minutes, right?
Well, that's the
Yeah.
thing. First 5 minutes, I think I got my shit together now.
Good.
Because it's fun to swear.
Yeah. What? What the fuck you talking about?
Willis.